Hello and welcome to patch 14.10 of League of Legends, the game where everything changes, nothing stays the same, and anything you like will, of course, be done away with. My name is Chris, and Joey and Jade will not be joining us this time like last time, but making his triumphant return is my patch review duo partner, Jason.
I'm back. I'm back, everyone. Good to be here with you, Chrissy. As much as every single item in the game is pretty much changing on this patch, as well as a bunch of other stuff, I do feel like they did you a few solids, simplifying things and bringing a few items back to how they were in old times.
I do remember, as far as patches go, I think I've only read through all of this like once or twice. I do remember seeing one or two interesting things I did like, but naturally, go figure, I was enraged by a fair amount of stuff, of course.
Oh, I mean, that almost goes without saying at this point.
Okie dokie. Couple people
Where do we
told
start,
me,
my friend?
yeah, a couple people told me that they liked listening to Joey and Jade last time. That was cool. All right.
You're being replaced.
Any of these systems you want to talk about? I see your mastery can now go to infinity and beyond.
Thank you, Buzz Lightyear. Yeah, it's kind of nice that they do. Level 7 seems like an arbitrary place to stop it. So, kind of nice. You can go up to 10 with visual stuff, and then just beyond there as a number. Kind of nice.
Well, it's probably kind of a disappointment to anyone who is so obsessive they got everyone to like 7 or something.
They'll have something to do for the next 4 years, Chrissy. They're
Right.
installing Legends of Runeterra on the actual client, which I think is something they should have always done. It's a nice little touch.
Ooh, man, look at all this
And
stuff.
the only other thing I wanted to talk about is the rank changes. Did you see this?
I just got down to there. What is interesting about it?
Well, you no longer, I think the way that it works is you no longer get protected at 0 LP in a division. Like you can you can promote and then you can immediately demote your next game. And my understanding is that if you're at like 1 LP and you demote, you lose all of the LP in the next division that you would have. So basically at this point, I don't see the point of having LP at all. Why not just show you your MMR and rank everybody based on that? The MMR is how skilled they actually think you are in ranked.
That's how they did it the first 2 seasons.
Yeah. I mean, LP, I understand it makes you feel like you're fighting for something, but at this point, they're over a few games just tying the LP so strongly to what happens with your MMR, and they're changing, they're tying your rank directly, not to your wins and losses, but what they think your MMR is. Why not just go back to MMR? Like, this is silly.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have much of an opinion on it.
Mm-hmm. And I understand the idea of like they want to give you some like guidepost to where you are, but like just name the tiers, emerald, platinum, gold, silver, whatever, based on what your MMR is.
If there was one change I would make to like ranked as like a seasonal basis, I would just have it so every single person just starts at like Iron 4 at the beginning of the season. Because what's really happened throughout the years, and this is kind of over dramatic, but it's kind of resulted in a bit of like a caste system. Whereas if you did good like 8 or 9 years ago, you'll do better 7 years ago, you'll place higher 6 years ago. I mean, you're just gonna place higher based on the way you ended every single season. Whereas I think it'd be more representative if everyone started at the same footing like every season. Because I've played a number of other games, like Warcraft 3 rank, for example, where everyone starts off at the bottom of the ladder.
I don't think that's a bad idea, but I do kind of laugh at the thought of like Fager playing against your grandma at the start of a season.
Well, if he's so faker, then he won't have much of a problem, will he?
No, he won't have a problem, but your grandma's gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, it'll make the beginning of like it'll make like the first month of every season like kind of funny and interesting, but I don't think it'll be it won't be too long before like the lines are kind of drawn, you know.
I mean, if they went back to doing like the full year seasons, I wouldn't mind that at all. With the fact that the seasons only last like 3.5 months now anyway, it would be annoying for the first month to be clown fiestas. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and I don't think it's a bad idea, especially if they could lengthen the seasons.
Alright, and what's this about bounties?
Biggest thing I would do for ranked is make it so that you're kind of like placed in a league with a few thousand people, and whenever those people are playing ranked, you're playing against them. So you actually have like a group of people that you kind of meet over a long period of time and try to be better than.
Alright, well, if we're going back to ranked, another thing I would do is as soon as you hit level...
You could have two ideas.
As soon as you hit level 30, you have to be put in a junior ranked bracket that you have to get out of before it lets you play ranked with everyone else.
You know, I don't hate that idea. I actually really like that idea.
They don't have to call it... They could call it wood if they wanted to. Make like wood like 1 through 10, and if you get out of wood 1, then you play ranked with everyone else. Instant gating, instant gating mechanism for like toxicity, some of the toxicity in the game.
Yeah, as well as for Smurfs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say even like maybe you don't even lose rank in wood. You just need to play X number of games. Winning gets you out there a lot quicker.
No.
Maybe get you a few points each time.
If you don't make it so you can go down, then it's merely just more XP levels. You need to be able to go down in the wood.
So some people just never get out of wood?
Exactly.
So, I mean, how is that different than iron?
Because everyone in wood can only play against other wood players. Once you get out of wood 1, and then in iron, it can just work the way all the matchmaking system works now, where you go up and play with iron 1 to like silver 4 players or whatever the hell the range is.
Okay. Oh, I see you. That's not a bad idea.
So even the lowliest iron 4 player will never play with anyone in wood.
I guess I brought up ranked, but if we do this is going to be a 4-hour patch notes.
Yeah, for real.
So bounties. Let me say this like in combination with the experience that it looks like they had to change right below, because it looks like those changes are meant to be together. They are trying to even the power curve throughout the game for junglers and supports. So basically what they're doing is shared experience, and most jungle experience is up by a little bit. When I say shared experience, I mean like if you're in a lane with someone else and they kill a minion, so the support is going to get more experience and the ADC will get a little bit more. So that is how they're making the game a little bit better or easier for junglers and bot laners. However, since those are also the roles that are going to be in these team fights the most often, they are taking away some of the gold and some of the experience from shared kills, as well as a little bit of the experience, as well as a little bit of the gold from kills themselves. If the person has a big bounty or like has a low bounty, meaning like they've taken a lot of deaths consecutively. So they're doing the 3 things, right? 1, greater experience for those roles. 2, less experience and gold from shared kills. And 3, bounty is a little bit down.
So to simplify, we're getting less money against players that have multiple kill streaks?
As well as multiple death streaks, yes.
Okay.
Which I actually have a problem with that second one, but...
if it was up to me, when you killed someone, you'd take some of their gold like in Dota.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why they don't do that, but...
Casuals.
You know, with the fact that they don't do that at all, and the fact that now you only get 150 gold in total, from, or at least, for the kill, from, killing somebody who has like a -3 death streak. I mean, it's almost like it's rewarding the people who feed early, like the Aurelian Souls.
If I'm not mistaken, in Dota, if you kill someone, you instantly get 30% of the gold they have on them. I think it would instantly fix some of the problems in League of Legends, because a lot of what...
That's problematic of its own, though.
A lot of what pushes this, like, pure pressure meta, that's what I call it, the pressure meta. A lot of what pushes this is the fact that people don't care how much they feed because they try to keep up in CS. And all that matters, because if you keep up in CS, it's almost irrelevant that you're like 0-10 because you just kept pushing. But if
Somewhat
you
true, and in fact,
if you were also
somewhat
losing,
true, and in fact, like these changes actually
bro, let
reward
me
CS
talk, man.
more than kills.
Say what?
I said like not only is what you're saying true, but these changes push the meta further in favor of CSing rather than kills. It actually has been a little bit kill heavy recently.
Well, regardless, I definitely think it would make for a healthy game state, more healthy.
Yeah, I can't get behind the 30% because everybody would just go spend their gold on things they don't need, and people would be penalized for getting like a few kills in a row in a fight and then getting killed where they don't have the time to get back. But it would be nice if maybe you took 100 gold from whoever you killed each time you killed them.
It would make people have to think harder. I mean, if they'd have to weigh the risks of staying in lane, going back, cashing in, risking going for like
everybody would cash in absolutely whenever they could if you had 30% of their current gold. I would just say make it a flat 100 gold. You take it out of their pockets every time you kill them.
That's a start, at least.
Yeah. I think that would be a fair way to do it because I think that your idea, except for the percentage and the problems that adds to the game, is a good idea. Yeah, these oh man, these death bounties. Oof. Everything else I'm kind of okay with here. So what's going to happen basically is that supports, to some extent ADCs and junglers, are going to have an easier time in the early and mid game, but are not going to be rewarded as much in the late game. In the case of junglers, they already have an easy time in the early game, but they'll have a better mid game now.
It's not bad. Enough of all that boring crap.
Yep.
Let's get into the meat
just
and
one thing to
potatoes.
note: the scuttler crab is worth a lot less XP now.
Well, interesting.
I think. All right.
Well, if there's monster changes, it'll be at the bottom.
That's why it's so important that I'm here.
All right, my favorite thing to talk about: champion changes.
There's about 4 of them this batch.
All right, looks like first up we've got Cho'Gath, who is doing more damage with his E at all ranks, which that's pretty good.
Yeah, Cho'Gath really is like one of the easiest, dumbest, not dumbest, but like most like you can just like slobber all over the keyboard types of champs in the game. That's why I play him.
Yep, he used to be one of my favorite champs mid lane.
The biggest change to me here, because I don't think that he's going to be a great jungler even with the monster damage cap increased. You know, he's probably, bubbling under as somebody who could be played in the jungle and won't always sync your team, but isn't that good because he doesn't have gap closers. I think the removal of the cap against minions might be the bigger story. I don't know exactly how much damage he was doing against minions and can do now, but Cho'Gath with better wave clear, I think could help his laning both top and mid, and won't lead to any type of toxic behavior. He's not the type of champ that roams. He's not the type of champ that takes a lot of pot shots at turrets.
This kind of cap thing isn't really going to come into play until he has like several stacks of feast anyway. Because every stack of feast does an extra percentage of the target's max health on his E.
Yeah, I think like better wave clear late game is perfectly good to give him. I like this.
Alright, next up we've got Corki, who got a slew of, in my opinion, kind of meaningless changes. I don't really consider this more of an update as a pointless dicking around, as I think the way Corki was honestly very good, even if people were building him kind of clownish the last year or so. So anyway,
go on.
We got a slew. You want to say something about the...
Yeah, I was going to say, apparently the reason they were doing this was because he was actually okay from most levels of play. But in the professional scenes, the teams were basically just dicking around all game until he had the package, and they were only playing around that.
Well, that's not really different from playing around a key ultimate, to be honest.
Well, it's every, like, 6 minutes. I mean, the key ultimates, you can get down to 60 seconds. You don't have to dick around for very long. That's every fight. But yeah, this thing was every 5 or 6 minutes, I think. And it was causing the team that had Corki on it to basically just stall games.
Well, even if that was the case, they made a lot of other goofy changes, in my opinion, that are kind of outside of that kind of downside.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Alright, first up, I'm not going to go through all these stat changes. It's kind of just changes for the sake of changes.
Nothing too big there, I agree.
First one is his passive, and this is kind of like sets the tone for how goofy this nonsense is. Now, instead of doing 80% magic damage with his autos and all of his on-hit effects, now he's just going to do 15% bonus true damage. So right out of the gate, this immediately like pulls him out of his decades-long niche of, you know, doing magic damage as an AD carry by building AD and stuff. So this alone feels absolutely retarded in my opinion.
He had that for 9.5 years. This was what they gave him in season 5 when they were still thinking he was going to be mostly a bot lane marksman type of champ, and wanted to introduce a lot of marksman diversity into the game. This is the same time they gave Graves his patented like shotgun, whereas he used to be like a regular auto attacker. Yeah, beginning of season 5, and he's had the 80-20 since then. They've obviously made some other changes. I think the package came a little bit later. I'm not totally sure.
Yes, much later.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been 80-20 or he was 50. He's been part magic damage on his auto attack since the beginning of season 5. I have no problem with him getting rid of this. It never really accomplished its purpose. I approved of the purpose, but they never really got him to where he wanted to be.
I totally agree. As Corki's like one of my most played AD carries throughout all of League of Legends, and I can tell you the ability of an AD carry to do super consistent magic damage that can crit was a very powerful niche that existed in the game, because it essentially put him alongside champs like Azir, Ryze, and Cassiopeia or something. And as an AD carry with a lot of attack speed and stuff, it just... I can't believe they've gone in this direction, honestly. Now I guess they're making him more of a tank buster or something, but he was already good at that too.
Yeah, and unlike the battle mages like Cassiopeia, which are there to CC you and survive a few hits, Corki was the type of marksman who was supposed to do all this consistent magic damage while kiting you. I always thought that the philosophy and the intent behind Corki was cool, but they just never hit the mark.
I just don't agree, man. I think he was I thought he was a champion that's always aged pretty well, honestly, and has always been really good. He's just not very popular, and the only times you do see him is when people just come up with some new stupid cheese build that just completely ignores the fact that he has like wicked DPS.
He was never in my top 20 like champs that need to be reworked or anything, but it never really hit the mark where people felt good about playing Corki and could like weave in the autos in a satisfying way. It was like his kit was being pulled between the package, the big one bombs, and everything else that he was trying to do. They really need to find I think a sharper identity, and I would have thought the identity would have been in exactly what you said. The marksman, the true marksman that can do magic damage, but that's not the way we're going here.
Man, I wrecked so many fools with this champ in my day. I honestly, if they were gonna do a change like this, I'd rather they just gave him a full rework. This is like a bastardized change to this is doing Corki dirty, is what this is.
Wow, you're really down on this.
Oh, definitely. This is like one of my favorite AD carries. Like, yeah, this is one of my favorite champs.
For me, this was like a slight, like, I'm feeling slightly positive on what they did here. I still don't think it fixes a lot of his problems.
It sure doesn't.
But you would have rather had nothing than all of this, is what you're saying.
I would have rather have just had a full rework instead of this touch-up that just pissed on his grave.
Yeah. Of course. Full rework would have been great. But,
this touch-up is just
what we have here and nothing, I think I'm going to take what we have here.
I can't imagine any player that liked Corki being happy with this. Anyway, let's move on.
There weren't that many players that liked Corki.
Let's move on to his W. Basically, it's the same, except now he no longer gets movement speed, so basically it can no longer be as much of an initiation tool as it used to be, and he can't, like... I'd always take this bot, and then you could just run top or mid with it right away, and no one would ever pay attention to the little verbal cue that goes off, so no more movement speed.
I'm confused. Oh, okay. You're talking about the package, not his W per se. Okay.
No, his W is unchanged, I believe.
No, his W got some changes.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah, they're not big though. It's mostly just like quality of life stuff and higher mana costs. You're right. All right, but anyway, yeah. So no more package, no more movement speed when the little wooga wooga goes off, and no more like giant like Rumble Ultimate every 6 minutes.
I don't know if it still plays the audio cue or not.
I know I've heard it in my stuff recently.
Next up, we got his Q.
Wait, what do you mean you don't know if it's still like they completely removed the package? It's gone. It's gone. Like no part of the old package or innate exists anymore.
Oh. The whole thing's just gone, period?
It's gone. They axed it from the game. The innate is now 15% true damage. They brought it back to season 2 where things were simple.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I misinterpreted part of this then.
Yeah, every part of Corky's passive from last patch is gone.
Well, this is even. This little mini rework is more of a shit show than I thought it was. I thought he just lost the movement speed that he ramped up over time.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, no movement speed, no super W, no double W, no Wawooga.
What a pile of shit. Fuck right. Okay, next up we've got his Phosphorus Bomb. Lower cooldown on the other end. On the high end, it's a little bit faster. Most notably, though, it finally has a ratio and scaling worth of shit, which has always been kind of the weaknesses of this ability, is it did do magic damage, which was nice, but it always scaled, like, horribly.
Yeah, it was something you leveled up, and basically by level 9, you were doing all the damage you were going to do in the game with it. Yep. Yeah, and now has a 120% bonus AD ratio. Don't even worry about the AP ratio. He is not an AP champ anymore. You should not build AP on him.
And then next up, we have his new and improved Valkyrie. Let's see what we got here. Let's see, you can't do it in place anymore. And, ooh, this makes up for it. Now you get one instance or one more tick of damage or whatever after you cross it. Not that the damage component was ever meaningful.
Right. And same cooldown, which is probably the most important thing with his W.
Yep, they couldn't even give him just like a tiny little umph on his regular W. Jesus, man.
Wait till you see the R.
Oh, I remember it. Okay. Now we're going to his E, his Gatling gun. We got less stacks, but slightly more MR and armor shred on there, but less damage overall too.
Right. This is good for him. This means that I think he's getting a lot more shred from just a few ticks of the of being able to land this on people. In addition to that, it's on a 12-second cooldown now, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Not much to say about that ability.
No, but that's a buff. That's a buff overall. For the E. And then let's look at the ultimate, because this got some serious buffs.
Alright, now the stock system is up from 20 seconds, from 12 to 11. But to make up for that, you recharge the ammo faster by hitting champions, but only if you have a lot of crit.
Even at 0 crit, you get 2 extra seconds.
Yep.
This is the karma treatment, basically. This is the karma treatment. Every time you actually hit enemies, your ultimate's going to come down by a fixed, or at least an absolute amount. And so this is really good with ability haste, because ability haste lowers the cooldown time on the ultimate to start with. I would assume that it also lowers the recharge. I think that the recharge does scale with CDR.
Well, don't know that for a fact.
What? I don't know that for a fact, but usually it would say absolute, fixed, or regardless of CDR if that weren't the case.
I feel like if you can get
Uh,
this recharge down to like 10 or something, and then if you're running enough crit, I mean, you basically get a new piece of ammo like every other auto attack.
exactly. And that's what's pretty cool about this. This is the Karma. With some ability haste and with the ability to weave in autos, you're going to be able to do a lot of missile barrages. Now, your maximum ammo has been reduced from 7 to 4, but man, do these things hit harder than before. Why don't you tell them about the numbers, Chrissy?
Well, it's kind of the same early on, which was relatively unimpactful, but then entering the mid and late game, they start hitting like a truck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have almost double the damage at level 16 as far as the base damage as we had last patch. And it's now scaling only on bonus AD rather than total AD. But yeah, in the late game, when you have a lot of bonus AD and your base damages on regular missiles are 280 and 560 on the big ones every third shot, like, yeah, these things hit like a truck. Hit like a fucking, like, airplane. I guess it is an airplane, but you know what I mean.
Be a lot to get excited about, if not for the fact that they took lethal tempo out of the game. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, that's true.
It's probably one of the most controversial changes, I imagine. Okay, that does it for Corki. Next up, we've got Cassante. Not much here. We got some extra health and some more shield on his, what is it, W? It's E.
The footwork, I think is his W. He has such stupid names.
No, it's his E.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, a little bit better shield, slightly healthier in general. Cassante is a champion that over the last year or two has gotten a lot of small nerfs, or they dipped around with a million of his numbers. So nice to see him get a little bit of love back.
Yeah, I'm not even really sure where he stands right now. He's probably still a fat slob, though.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a fat slob and definitely like ridiculously annoying and disruptive in fights.
Alright, we're gonna scroll all the way down to Set, where he does some bonus damage against Monster on his little ability that pulls people towards him, which would be really easy to line up with like the camps that have lots of monsters in them.
Sure. Do you think this is really going to help him jungle though?
Not really, because this ability is on a preposterously high cooldown early on.
Yeah. He's not the type of champion that has an easy time closing gaps. He's like Garen. Sure, if you build some speed on Garen or you catch someone unaware, you can catch up with them. But he doesn't have any like real closers. And so, I don't know. This to me is like, you know, maybe not shuffling deck chairs in the Titanic, but maybe taking like a feather dust or a slightly dusty chair in the Titanic.
Next up, we've got Skarner, who has some bit of some nerfs here. We've got less damage on the Q, and then also less damage on the throw Q, and more damage to structures, which is kind of interesting.
I hate that.
I feel like it doesn't really come into play that much because you're kind of forced to hit people.
Yeah.
And then less damage against monsters from the health damage, basically. But it is more cheap, which is cool because he kind of has to spam this like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been playing too much League lately due to injury, but I have played a few games. I think I saw him in a game once. He was my jungler. Essentially, like, the rest of the team had to carry him, and we did win. He wasn't able to make much of an impact besides feeding early, though. I don't know. What's been your experience with Skarner?
I just realized I could have picked him in a custom the other night. I forgot he got reworked, though.
Have you seen him much, though?
A couple times.
How does he play?
He doesn't really feel much different than the old Skarner. He just auto-attacks less and uses his Q more. It's not as good as I guess he's been... I'm surprised he's actually been nerfed a few times. I actually thought the numbers he came out when he was first reworked actually felt really really solid.
You thought he was really weak when he
No,
came out.
no. I thought he was really
No,
strong.
we can check the tapes, Chrissy.
No, I remember. I thought these were super good numbers when he first came out, but now he's been nerfed to 2 or 3 times. I thought all the health scalings that he had were ridiculous, but now those have been nerfed a couple times.
It was apparently W that was one of the biggest problems with him. The little zone that he puts around himself.
The shield, yeah.
Yeah, like the damage he did with that, I think, was one of the bigger problems.
That thing didn't do any damage. It just gave him, like, tons of free health.
No, it definitely does damage.
It does damage, but it didn't scale with anything that he could make use of.
I think that was one of the first things they said they had to nerf, though. Anyway, yeah, like, you know, he hasn't come out in too bad of a state. Again, I just haven't seen much of him. You know, for even for the amount that I played, I thought I would see more Skyner after the rework, and I just haven't. So I don't have a lot to say here, but yeah, he seems like he's an okay champ to you that plays similar to how he used to.
I feel like he has more of an incentive to be more of a tank champion than like a fighter like before.
I certainly don't mind that.
Alright, next up, we've got an absolutely brilliant change to Tryndamere that definitely won't lead to any frustrating games whatsoever.
Tell us how this is the greatest thing since UNICEF, Chris.
Now, he can get up to 10% extra critical strike at level 1. So now he only needs 2 items to get to 100 instead of before where he would have needed 3. So now this should definitely add some more level 1 shenanigans where you can feel really good about being him randomly critting you. With his extra auto attack range, mind you.
Oh yeah, with the extra auto range. You're probably right about the level 1 and 2 fights. I hadn't even thought of that. But besides that, I don't think this is going to be a big change. Like, by the time he gets up to 50 Fury, if he starts the fight with 50 Fury, or sorry, 100 Fury, and 50% crit strike chance from the Fury, if he starts the fight with that, you've done something wrong engaging him. And if he's getting it in the fight against you, look, you're either getting away and kiting him, or he's killing you before he gets to 100 Fury. There is no in-between. So I don't think this is going to do a lot, but you are right about the level 1 and 2 cheese.
Yeah, you don't understand, man. For him to gain basically 10% extra critical strike chance even earlier...
The fight's over before he gets there.
It just makes his like laning phase even more cancerous because he already gets so much sustain early on for so little that he's such a dumb champion to lane against.
I hear you, and you're not wrong. But if you're letting him start the fight with a lot of fury, that's your problem.
Okay.
And you know that's your fault. And if he hasn't started the fight with fury before he gets to the point where it's going to be like a lot of critical strike chance, either you've already put him in a position where he has to use his ult and run away, or you're dead.
All right. Well, a lot of the times you're not going to have the advantage of knowing what you're laning against, and a lot of champions can't just jump him early on because his fury bar is low. Because he also has brain dead disengage.
Early laning phase, you're absolutely right.
His brain dead disengage makes it completely like untenable for like most of the champs in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Tryndamere, you know, we were talking about the 20 champs that badly need reworks because they're unhealthy. He's number 1 with a bullet.
That one I came up with was absolutely dynamite.
Except it wasn't Tryndamere.
It was a better.
All right, you know what? If you're not gonna make your freaking Kindred rework, then you have no right to talk about champion judgments.
I don't know what I eventually come up with that, but my Tryndamere one was the best one of all the ones I did.
Mm-hmm. Says you and no one else.
Made him from some goofy glass cannon, annoying champ into something actually cool.
And my Tryndamere was great.
About being a team member. Alright, next up we've got Urgot.
Nope, you're right, Urgot. Never mind me. What did they do with Urgot?
Apparently when his W's on, he no longer abuses some kind of nonsense. Whatever that was, I'm sure it was something clever.
Only thing I can guess, and I'm not sure if it's a spell effect or an on-hit, was Black Cleaver? Was something that he built a lot?
No, Black Cleaver would still work because all you have
That's
to
not
do
a
is
spell effect,
all
right?
you have to do is physical damage. You don't have. It's not a spell effect.
Okay, so that's not a spell effect. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing this for.
I'm sure there was some item that someone was doing something fishy with.
Yeah. If you have any idea, let us know. I'd like to hear this one.
Alright, next up we've got this incredible change to Viego, which will immediately give him back a chance of running top lane again, which is what I was doing when he first came out, because for like 2 days, this had no reduction against minions, and then it was immediately reduced to 50, and it was still really good top lane, because it just gives him lane sustain, which is always good. And then, about a month later, it was reduced to 10, and after that, it just became too garbage to run him top anymore. But he is such a good, like, 1v1 champion that he has, like, serious implications for top lane with this.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he has serious implications for mid again now as well.
That's a little harder because there's so many range champions that give you a hard time. When you're playing against all these melee champions, you can just... The Q goes through minions... And he's manaless, so he has essentially infinite sustain.
What's the best solution to ranged poke? Sustain.
Well, it's not that good of sustain.
50% of all the damage he does with his autos?
No, that's not how it works.
Oh, it's only the bonus damage from the passive?
Whenever he marks something with his Q or his W, he hits a second time, and he heals for a percentage of the partial auto attack he does for the second one. He doesn't just heal for a flat amount of his auto attacks.
Right. But let's say, level 6 on a minion wave, if he's using this as much as he can against the wave, how much do you think he's going to heal at 50%? Is it going to be a couple hundred health?
Oh, no. This is basically... At 50%, it's basically like giving him like 2 or 3 Doran's Blades.
Okay, that's not as much as I thought, but
it's good.
It's still reasonable.
It's good enough to give him a lot of pressure in lane to trade with, but it's not like Nunu or something.
I still think this is like a pretty big buff, and
it is.
Yeah, top lane is definitely going to be a good place for him. I still think mid lane becomes really feasible because he has a lot of an ability to not only roam but also join skirmishes on either side of the river. At the early levels, Viego's very good if he comes into that fight healthy.
Yeah, he has a really difficult kit to interact with. I mean, once he's on you, he's going to do his whole combo, and then that's, he gets it off so fast with all of his auto attack resets that it's just he just does a lot of damage very quickly with not a lot of stuff.
My problem with Viego top lane is that you're really leaving your team without a fat slob, as you like to call him. Like, Viego not only is not like a super tanky champ, but he's also pretty non-interactive in team fights in the sense that he doesn't really have any way to protect any of his team. He can't even body block for his team half the time because he's usually skirting around the edges or invulnerable and untargetable while he's doing the resets.
That's true.
He's really one of the worst front lines you can have as a team if you're one of the other players on the team.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, he's also doesn't need a lot of damage to do really well. In fact, all he really needs is like Blade of the Ruined King, and he is like a threat to any like squishy person.
Oh, he's effective. It's like having like a really good Talon playing in your top lane. Like, they're still really good. They're still going to be able to get a lot done, but they're going to do absolutely nothing to protect you or to set up the fight. So it's give and take, and I would not want a Viego in my top lane, but I certainly don't mind having a Viego as a jungler or a mid laner.
I think you could have way worse things top.
You certainly could. You could have a Talon. You could have an NA Jace. That would be probably the worst thing besides maybe a Nidalee.
Okie dokie.
You could have a Renata Glask top.
Next up, we've got Yasuo and Yone, who now have some messing around with their passives, which change the way how quickly they get to 100% strike chance based on the items here. So right now, or before this change, all they needed was 2 items, because each of them got...
all they needed was 40% to get 100. Now they need 50.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are some really high critical strike items now. You can still get there with 2, based on some of the new items. But overall, this is a nerf. Even though they're compensating with further or better attack damage ratio once you exceed 100%, you get there slower. And so overall, at any reasonable level of any crit that you'd actually build throughout the game, this is a nerf. And you know I love my nerfs to Trashua Brothers, especially their passives. They're 32 endless passives.
I don't have as much hate against
well
Yone
done, Rito.
I don't have as much hate against Yone as I do Yasuo.
I know. But to me, they're the Trashua Brothers, and they always will be the Trashua Brothers.
Yasuo
I don't even bother telling them apart.
Yasuo has a much more well-deserved reputation.
Trashua Brothers. All right. Yeah, nerfs and good ones to them.
Alright, that does it for the champion changes. Now we have all of some item shenanigans. First up, we've got Abyssal Mask, which is an item that has been changed just about a million times throughout its history, back to when it used to be Abyssal Scepter, if you remember.
I don't even remember that, no.
Oh, it didn't even have health then, but it had pretty much all this other stuff.
Was it an AP item?
Yeah, it was an AP item back then.
Oh.
Alright, so basically we have a little bit cheaper, less magic resistance, a higher range on the effect, which is kind of nice for all the melee champions to run this. And then we got a flat 20% MR reduction instead of 5 to 25.
Instead of scaling based on their health, but... Oh, wait a minute. Is the new version capped at a reduction of 25 or no?
No, the new one is the percentage.
But the new one is a percentage, and it's not capped. So if you're facing someone with 500 MR, you reduce their magic resistance by 100?
Yeah. So this is basically like a...
isn't bad. Okay.
Yeah, this is basically like a small void staff for the tanks, or the supports.
Yeah, I misunderstood the way they worded this. Oh, this actually isn't bad. I thought this was total crap.
No,
this actually isn't bad. So yeah, this is really good against opponents, and particularly full teams that are building a lot of MR against your team. It's still mostly a tank item, but honestly, at the lower cost with this aura, supports can build this, especially like a tanky support. But even like a Karma or a Lulu or something can build this if they think their team needs it and they don't have a tank that can build it.
Yeah, never mind the fact that this can also give you up to 100 MR for the user. So that's pretty crazy and efficient.
Yeah, as long as you're not playing a support that's going to burst immediately, that extra MR is nice.
I wonder if this stacks with Void Staff, because I feel like that would be the first thing AP people would do.
It does, unless Void Staff is a blight item, which I don't think it is.
Because there was a time where people used to run Abyssal Mask on like Rise and Cassiopeia when the range was way better than 600. Yeah, then it was actually good. Alright, next thing of consequence, the Anathema's change is no longer in the game. I regret not actually having a game where I bought this item just for the lols.
Void Staff is a blight item, so it looks like one person has to buy the Void Staff and one person has to buy the Abyssal, and I think in that sense it stacks.
Damn, a rare case of foresight. Damn.
Yeah. So I think that, as a team, you still can use both Magic Pen type things, but you can't just stack them both on the same user.
Now, what if two people have an Abyssal Mask?
That is a good question. I think as of last patch, it worked. I think both of them would lower it. Yeah. Although maybe it's just both of them would gain the resistance and they'd still only lose 20%. I'm not sure.
Certainly interesting. Anyway,
another thing is something that I actually did build sometimes, particularly when my top laner would feed and get one, very important like fighter on the other team way ahead, and the only thing that we could do to stop them was to CC them. Anathema's Chance was really good at CCing them for longer, so they couldn't then get all their health back. I really liked that item. It was something I only bought in probably about 10% of my games. But it was something that, in the right circumstance, I really liked. I liked the idea behind it. Riot said that they were getting rid of it because they felt like it was like you were targeting one player, and it was almost unfair to that player when they earned the snowball. I see what they're saying, but at the same time, look, there's a lot of things in the game that target one player. There's a lot of things in the game that, like the QSS, right? The mouse tax.
Or if that Corky change targeted me.
One literal player behind their keyboard, yeah. I think it was more triggered than targeted in this case.
Bro, I was a terror on
I'm
that
really
chant.
sad to see Anathema's Chains go, and I kind of wish that there was a way to have like an anti-carry item that they didn't think was unhealthy. I liked it, but what are you gonna do?
Yep, I thought it was cool. I just never had a reason to build it because it doesn't give resistances, so it was hard for me to rationalize it. And
That was actually something else they said too. They said that it was a health-only item, and they were thinking about changing its stats, but eventually decided that they just didn't like the presence of an item that just targeted one player directly like that. Yeah, kind of disappointing because I liked doing that, and I liked having some type of way to handle a carry on the other team that got really fed. That wasn't my fault.
maybe they should have reworked it where it just becomes more stronger the more of a kill deficit your team is at.
That would have been fine. I also would have liked maybe if they only made it work better for you, the things that you did against them, rather than everyone around. Like, rather than saying they take 30% more CC or whatever, it was you give them 30% more CC.
Nah, I like my idea. Your team's down like 20 kills and suddenly you're like a god with this item. It's like the only way you can come back, right?
The interesting thing about that would be if you have like one player that's way ahead, right? It would actually, what's really funny, in the scenarios that I'm mentioning, where it's like my whole team's doing well, and then like the one idiot in top lane fed them, they would be the one buying Anathema's Chance. Because their team is down in gold, and now, even though they're fed, now they're like some like super god who's gonna be even more fed.
No, there has to be a caveat where it disables itself if you're the person feeding the most.
No, they weren't the one feeding. They were the only... Ugh. You don't get what I'm saying. The point of Anathemas, as it was now, right, was if your NA Jace top lane feeds the enemy Riven top
No, I
lane.
know what the point of the item was. I'm just saying
Right.
what I would have liked to it to be changed to.
In your version, the enemy Riven buys the Anathema's Chance. And now, even though they're 8-0, their team is still behind in gold. So even though they can 1v3 anyone on the enemy team, now they can 1v5 anyone on the enemy team. So I have to say, I don't like your idea.
That's fair.
But it would be kind of
Okay.
funny having the one person who's really fed buying the Anathema's Chance.
Just make it 5,000 gold.
I mean, if NA Jace feeds them enough. And then the jungler goes there and tries to help him. He's like, oh my god, didn't know they were so strong.
Alright, let's get through some of
5,000
these.
gold before you know it.
Let's get through some of these less exciting changes.
Okay.
Got more health and more ability haste for Bammy Sender.
Less health and more ability haste.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. I don't love this change, but whatever. It's something you build into other things. At least you can buy it quicker now.
And then I'll skip through some of this, and then got an interesting change with the shoes. They finally brought back the Tier 3 shoes, which is one of the only optimistic things I was about this patch, because I never agreed with them taking out all of the boot augments from like Season 6 or 7 or whatever it was. And so this is pretty interesting. I think more than one of the shoes now upgrades into kind of a super pair of shoes, but only if you're at like a level. If you get to like 13 or 15 first, then you get the chance to upgrade them into super shoes.
It is a little weird how there's only a couple, I think, unless I just missed it, there's only a couple of shoes that actually upgrade to Tier 3, right?
I think there's only 2 or 3 out of like all 6 or 7 or something.
Yeah, I don't love that because it means that like you can be buying a a pair of shoes that's good for the whole game, and then all of a sudden you have nothing to build it into at the end. Then again, like there are times where at the end of the game, especially if you've been doing well, and it's a long game, you're gonna have 3,000-4,000 extra gold in your pocket doing nothing besides buying elixirs. So you can always just sell whatever shoes you have and buy one of the useful ones. But there might not be any useful ones because, basically it's just Zephyr. The other ones, I think, require, like, the symbiotic shoes, require you to wear them for several minutes and move around before they upgrade to Tier 3. So really it's just the Zephyr, I think.
Next up, we've got more Magic Pen from Black Cleaver, and this number has moved back and
Physical
forth
pen, right?
from like a million times.
Physical pen or magic? Physical, right?
Yeah, armor pen.
Okay, yeah.
So now it's 30, but tomorrow it could be back to 25.
Yeah, this is going to be really nice for the Darius of the world. Who else is really going to like this? Maybe like the Red Canes?
You honestly don't really build this on Darius because he kind of needs the attack speed.
Really? You don't build Black Cleaver on Darius?
Sounds silly, but his E already does more than what Black Cleaver does. So.
I see all the good Dariuses build this.
He kind of needs the movement speed and the attack speed, because if he can't trigger his passive, he basically can't put out, you know?
No, I know what you mean, but, this does make the passive a lot better if you can trigger it, and since you're slowing them by like 90%, it's not that hard. Who do you think this is going to be really good for?
The Black Cleaver? Oh,
yeah,
so
I mean, certainly
people.
like Garen. Although Garen built some weird shit these days. He builds like Glass Cannon Crit. Yeah, so who will this be good for?
I mean, you could get it on any assassin. You could get it on like half the bruisers. You could get it on Garen or Olaf. It'd be good. I mean, there's a ton of champs you could get it on. I say Darius because movement speed and attack speed are way more important on Darius than just raw damage. It doesn't really matter that he builds damage. All that matters is he triggers the extra 200 AD from his passive. That's where all of his...
That's kind of reasonable because, like, when you shred a percentage of their armor, your lethality is going to do more afterwards. So that's a reasonable call.
I think you've always seen Black Cleaver on, like, people that build lethality as long as I can remember.
I see it every once in a while. Usually I just see them build a whole lot of lethality.
That's good too.
I'm not saying they're not doing it right, but
Alright, let's move on to a new item, and in a move that should surprise no one, they have taken an item from the old Twisted Tree line, and now it's new content!
And that item in itself is really just kind of Deathfire Grasp.
Yep, or you can just say it's basically Liandry's again. Because
well,
they got
the
rid
new
of
form is
Embrace.
because, surprise, surprise, they introduced another core mage item that builds from Lost Chapter, and when you deal ability damage, you deal a little bit more ability damage over time. Boy, how original. We don't have any of those in League.
Well, they did get rid of Demonic Embrace, so we're in a dark place right now with only one burn item, so we need a second one so Brand and Morgana can build this every game.
Bringing it back, yeah. Brand, Morgana. This is going to be really, really good on Hui, I think.
Yeah, just for the stats alone, it'll be good on basically everybody.
It'll be good on a lot of champs, but like the ability and the fact that you're getting more AP as you hit more enemies with this.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I think this is going to be really good on Hui.
Yep.
The fact that he can just constantly trigger the burn damage and already is kind of burning you.
Looks fun.
Yeah, yeah. I could also see this being good on some of the champs with just spammy skills in general. I'm thinking like Vel'Koz, possibly Xerath.
Sure.
Even Seraphine mid to some extent might be able to make good use of this, although they did nerf her AP ratios recently.
I think this would be good on just about anybody.
It'll be fine on everybody, right? 90 AP and 25 ability haste and mana. Nobody's saying no to that besides like Garen. Yeah. But I think that yeah, those are some ideas for who's going to be able to be the best users of this. Because remember that like, there are already some mage items that are good on everybody. You've got your Cosmic Drives, you've got your Liandry's, you've got Shadow Flame and all that good stuff. The Storm Surge, which is really, really, really good. Is there going to be room in some of those, other champs that can't use the ability for this item? Maybe. Maybe.
Alright, let's try to pick up the pace here. Next up, we've got Blade of the Ruined King, which got a bit of a transformation, a huge injection of AD, and a little bit more attack speed and more lifesteal, but the bummer is that the powerful on-hit effect took a huge hit, especially amongst the melee people who have really been spoiled by how strong this has been on melee characters for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's pretty lackluster on ranged people, considering it's only current health damage.
Yeah, I mean, it does get, nice stat buffs to compensate for that. You still have the slow, but without so much of an identity in the fact that it can target and cut down very high health enemies. This is kind of just in a middle ground of all the different things you can bring to a marksman. I don't know exactly who's gonna want it now. Probably some of the people like Viego and Vayne, who it was core to, will still be using it.
Yep,
But yeah, this is a weird, like, confused, mixed identity. What do you think, Chris?
I think one more patch, they're just going to give it 25 critical strike and call it a day.
Yeah, maybe.
Alright, next up, we've got Bloodthirster, which simply got a revert back to its other slightly newer passive, where it gained a shield that you could work up from healing over 100%. And it also gained a shitload of AD to make up for losing its current passive of giving a ton of AD if you were high health.
Not at 3,400 gold, I don't think any champ in the game has a reason to use this.
I know it'll always be good for a big stat stick, and the fact that it gives the most lifesteal.
There's a lot of other items on this patch now that they're reducing some of the abilities and adding stats that act as stat sticks for ADs. You have no critical strike chance, you have no attack speed, and the passive, I mean, it's just a shield now. It's not even like bonus health that stays forever. Granted, it lasts for 25 seconds out of combat.
Oh, you're right. But, I didn't notice they took the critical strike off, you're right.
Yeah. And they, you don't get bonus AD, which, didn't really matter that much anyway. But really, what's happening here is that if you're in combat with someone, you're not going to get excess healing from the lifesteal anyway, unless you're successfully kiting them. Once they deal any damage to you, you're just using the regular lifesteal to restore your health, and this unique passive, E-Core Shield. Which, by the way, E-Core is like the life or the essence of something. Anyway, it's not going to do jack shit for you. So, yeah, I see no reason at this cost to build this on any champ in the game whatsoever. That's my take.
I can't believe they took the critical strike off. That makes it so awkward.
Next.
Alright, next up, let's skip down to something way more interesting. They removed Corrupting Potion from the game. I feel like that definitely has some kind of implications for the laning phase.
So I wasn't able to read all of the items before we started this, but so the best you can get now is a refillable?
That hasn't been in the game for a year or two either.
The standard refillable potion?
I don't think that's in the game anymore. I think they took out that requirement and just made it go right to Corrupting Potion.
Oh my god, you're right. No, that was recent, but you're right. I don't know why I was thinking of that. Okay, so we're back to regular consumable potions only.
Yep. So long.
Those
probably won't be there for long either.
So, yeah, they didn't replace this with anything?
Nope. That's a shame because there's like a slew of champions like top and mid.
Alright, I have to look at their reasoning for this. Corrupting Potion has been forgotten for a while. We don't like it when it's strong and dominates, so we removed it from the game. Well, that's just stupid.
Big of you to admit it.
That's just stupid.
There's a lot of champions that use
forgotten.
mana.
There's a lot of people that need this for laning phase.
Yeah. There's a lot of mana champions.
I buy this all the time. Oh my god, poor Soraka especially.
This is like absolutely core on like Gangplank and Pantheon just off the top of my head.
Yeah, Singed, and again, like Soraka, this is how you refill yourself when you're paying 10% of your life to heal someone. Oh my god. Oh, that sucks. All right, this gets my award for worst change of the patch.
No, I don't think it's the worst one. Maybe it's the
The
second or
worst change of
third.
the patch.
No, the lethal tempo taking out is the worst in my
Oh, I
opinion.
thought you were going to say Corky.
Oh, you're right. That is bad. Okay, this is the third worst then.
And it gets your bronze medal? No, this for me is the worst change of the day.
No.
Oh my god. This is like sitting down to what you think is going to be a fancy steak dinner, and instead it's dog meat. It's not even like a good burger, which, like, you know, don't get me wrong, I'll take a good burger over a steak any day. This is dog meat.
Alright, next up we've got less attack speed from Dagger, and then now we've got a new version of the Dawn Core where it's a little more AP heavy, doesn't have ability haste, but now has heal and shield power.
Here's my take on this. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? This is supposed to be for enchanters that use healing and shielding, and yet they're taking away the healing and shielding based on your base mana regeneration. They're still encouraging you to build base mana regeneration, which is something that only enchanters can build. Why are we doing this? We're making it more of an AP item and taking away heal and shield power. And we're adding some heal and shield power. This makes no sense.
I'm confused. Before, the old one, it didn't have any base heal and shield power.
Not
now
base, but
it's a big
yeah.
flat amount and, like, bonus. That's got to be better overall for just healing and shielding.
Probably is better overall, but you don't get it as quickly based on your mana regeneration. And they took away one of the most important things for enchanters, ability haste. They took away the 20 ability haste on the item. Why are we doing this? Who is this for?
Well, I guess it's for champions who want more impactful heals or shields rather than more spammy heals and shields.
Those are... Who is that?
I don't know. I don't think it has to be a champion. I think it's a personal preference.
Who is that? Every single champion in the game who uses heal and shield power would rather have ability haste than ability power.
I think it's a personal preference.
I don't think it is.
That's purely like a matter of opinion. Like, you can say that, but you know, it's just a personal preference. You want stronger heals and shields, or do you want to cast them more often? I don't think one's right and one's wrong.
Problem is, though, all the champs that are using the heals and shields also tend to have utility powers that are not going to scale up on the heal or shield power, and they wanted ability haste for that. Every single one I can think of: Karma, Janna, Lulu, Soraka, Sona.
Sure, it's nice.
Every single enchant, Taric, Yumi, that freaking Milio, Renata Glask, even Renata Glask, okay, could confidently say she would have preferred the old Dawn Core. This to me, I just ask why.
Okay, next up, we've got the Athene's Unholy Grail ripoff, and what is this? Is this more healing, more damage, what?
This is more healing, sometimes more or less damage. It is a buff. It is a buff to the item. It puts it actually closer to back what it was when it was a mythic item last season. And Echoes has been a little bit weak recently, so I'm glad to see this. But personally, I would have loved if they just said instead of 3 charges, you could store 4 and called it a day. Because I think that rewarding you for hitting enemies a lot of times and then being able to heal your allies in a big spike is cool. Instead, they're bringing it back to 2 shards, so two times that you damage an enemy champion to charge it up, and then you immediately want to use an ability on an ally to heal them. What is nice is that they're giving you a lot more healing on it now.
Cool.
So that's what it is. Yeah, it's a nice buff to the item. I just wish they would have done it a different way.
Alright, next up we've got Essence Reaver. Big takeaway is it's no longer a Sheen item. Every auto attack will now give you a smaller amount of mana. You get 5 more AD, 5 more ability haste, and every crit item now has 25 instead of 20% critical strike chance. So this did have a very small core user base, which are definitely going to be feeling this. Like Ezreal, you're definitely going to suck not having this apply on your Q anymore. stuff like
Right.
that, and any other people who use this for like the Sheen, maybe Lucian, maybe Ezreal, and a couple others.
They might need to buff the new passive where you gain mana on hit on your basic attacks. However, from a philosophical point of view, I love this. This is Bloodthirster for mana instead of health, and it's gonna be a lot more useful than the current Bloodthirster. I'll tell you that much. This doesn't force you to either use or waste your abilities in order to restore your mana. This allows you to use your mana to restore your mana without wasting abilities against waves, against jungle camps if you want to just run at the Gromp and hit them a few times, against enemies. I like this. I really like this.
Ooh, yeah, maybe the mana works differently, but it was also good for the Sheen proc as well.
Yep. And as far as the damage that you were getting from the Sheen proc, that was nice. But I think this will raise its user base to champions who either don't want to spam their abilities like Sivir, or for champions that can't spam their abilities that often because they have long cooldowns. So I think this will actually widen the user base. And as far as the damage, they're compensating a little bit of that with the higher stats. All the stats went up on the item. It just might be a little bit weak, but if they can buff that passive by I don't know, make it 20 plus 15% bonus AD mana, I think that it'll be in a really good place. I like this philosophically.
I actually think this is going to make it less popular without like the Sheen effect. I feel like everyone liked it because it gave mana and that made it convenient, but without like the burst damage of all the people that were taking this because of on-hit effects, I actually think it's going to kind of fall
Ezreal
off
can still
in
buy a
terms of
Sheen item. He
popularity.
can still buy a Gauntlet or a Triforce.
Yeah, that's true, but this could be the one that you wanted to buy. 'Cause it actually
Perhaps,
gave
although I,
mana.
I still think it gives you a lot of, not a lot of really way, one really nice way to restore your mana without having to spend mana to do it.
Alright, next up, we've got a new item, Faded Ashes, and, oh, I was about to say, is this like another burn item? No, it just builds
Oh
in.
my god, this is actually the first item that
It just builds
that I
in
did
there.
not get to as far as reading the notes, so forgive me for flying by the seat of my pants here.
This is
but
funny. So this actually builds into the other two existing burn items. For a second, I thought
Okay.
this was its own item. which
Oh
is
my god, yeah, me too.
which
Okay,
is
this is
kinda funny.
900 gold. That's not that bad.
The only thing I want to know is if you can have Blackfire Torch, Leandry's Torment, and just sit on one of these just for the hell of it, because I can definitely see some people doing that.
Is this the ashes of Whitney Houston?
Seems like something that people would do if they were running a couple other things at the same time.
Yeah, this is fine, I guess. Lena Morgana's certainly gonna like this.
Alright, next up we've got Fimbulwinter, which got 150 more health. And then I think this is the shield scaling that activates when you like slow or stun someone or whatever. So
No, this is your extra bonus health.
oh, you're right. Okay, well that's nice too. So a lot of extra health.
Yeah, that's really nice. They're doubling the. Oh, but hang on, it's 15% bonus mana instead of 8% maximum mana.
Oh, never mind.
That's not
We almost
necessarily
got
a buff.
yeah, we almost thought we had something nice, but always gotta switch and bait or whatever. Bait and switch.
I think you switched the bait and switch.
That's what happened here.
150 bonus health additional from what you were already getting is really nice, though. I've always thought this was a very underrated item, personally.
Me too. I wish it just had like 20 armor or 20 MR on it so it'd feel good to buy. Feels very awkward to buy.
It's 2,400 gold. Like, I don't know. I think it's a really good item for its price and for what it does for you if you need mana. I often buy this even on champs that you wouldn't expect. Like, if I'm being targeted a lot, I will buy this on a mid lane mage. If I'm being targeted by an assassin, I will buy this on a support. I will certainly buy it on a tank if I'm running out of mana at any point.
You'll buy anything on anyone, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is a really good item, and even though that second part is probably a slight nerf, look, 150 extra bonus health is going to compensate for whatever lower ratio you have. This is nice.
Okay, let's move on down to something a bit more interesting. Let's talk about Immortal Shield Bow. We've got...
Other radiance?
To hell with that. We've got 5 more AD, the regular crit, and now it has no lifesteal, which is kind of depressing, because there was a period in time where there was like 5 lifesteal items in the game, and now this one doesn't have any, and I don't really see how this is kind of gaining much of anything of consequence to make up for losing an entire stat line. Just 5 AD and it's not even cheaper? That's kind of silly.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm a little bit sad that I can't bitch about Hollow Radiance, but yeah, as far as Immortal Shield though, this is definitely a nerf. Look, it was a pretty good item. It's still an okay item, but this is definitely a nerf. I would really like it if they gave you like a lot of lifesteal for a few seconds when the shield bow procs. I think at some point they had something like that, right?
I don't think it was lifesteal. I think it was like 15 or 20 AD and some extra attack speed.
Okay. I would really like if they gave you like 30% lifesteal for 3 seconds once the lifeline procs.
That would be cool. I would like that.
And if they did that, I'd be perfectly fine with them removing the lifesteal from the item. As it is, look, if you need that shield, it's still there for you. This is a mediocre item.
Well, it sure is now.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Last patch, it was a good item. Now it's a mediocre item.
I don't know what.
But you know, again, if you're an ADC that needs that defense, you know, this is a decent way to do it because there aren't that many better options for you.
This is getting rid of all the lifesteal on this item is just as stupid as getting rid of the critical strike on Bloodthirster.
Yeah, and don't try building Bloodthirster with this because Bloodthirster sucks.
Man.
Next.
So much sustain gone.
Yeah, this was surprising to me. Again, I would have liked to just see them give you some lifesteal when it procs, but yeah, no more lifesteal on this. This is probably going to be a late game only item now.
Alright, next up we've got Infinity Edge, which got a whopping 15 more damage and the typical 5% bonus critical strike, but there was no change to the critical strike multiplier, which is probably a chance for them to arbitrarily tweak that for the upteenth time. And 100 more gold, though, for your troubles.
Yeah, I mean, this is a buff, right? This is some nice stats for 100 gold.
Alright, now something a lot more interesting. Let's talk about this new Knight's Vow, which is my favorite support item.
Oh, so tell me about this, because I don't know anything about this one.
Alright, let me read this, because I don't think this version of it was here the last time I checked up this. Alright, okay. So, comparing the stats, we've got the same amount of health, 5 less armor, and we got the health regen back from the olden times. So it's pretty much the same as the old one, same price. And here we go. We got the pledge. You pick your ally champion, you get the tether, and you can only pick one at a time, just like before. 60-second cooldown, and here's where things start to differ. While your worthy ally is tethered to you and you are above 30% of your health, you redirect 12% of the pre-mitigation physical and magical damage they take to you.
This is almost the same exact thing.
Additionally, you heal for 10%. Oh, yeah, you're right. This is the same damn thing.
This is almost the same exact thing. They just took out if your ally is low, there's more damage redirection.
I like that. Well, now I'm mad. I thought this was actually something interesting. I like that it was stronger when they were lower.
Regeneration to this, which means pretty much nothing.
What a bummer.
Man, you skipped Hollow Radiance for this?
I thought that I saw all these different colored words and I thought something extra was in here.
I know there's so many words, right? That's why sometimes like the official patch notes are better. I know that you don't like me reading those and I don't. But yeah, they just throw all the words on here and they don't even bother saying what changed. This is basically the same thing. They didn't change a lot here. I think they slightly nerfed it, honestly.
Alright, next up we've got Kraken Slayer, which also lost its critical strike chance. But
This one's interesting, yeah.
Yes. It's gained 10 extra attack damage, 5 more attack speed, and instead of critical strike chance, now it has a pretty generous 7% movement speed, the likes of which you can only find on like Phantom Dancer. So
Wait till you see the new Phantom Dancer, buddy.
Oh, maybe it's different than I remember.
Well, they increased it by a lot.
And then it pretty much has the same effect as it did before, it just doesn't look quite as strong as a stacking effect was previously. Still physical damage, so we're not going back to the Clown Town days of the true damage.
The passive on Kraken Slayer now increases based on the target's missing health. So it doesn't matter whether they're a tank or a squishy. It only matters whether their health bar is low or high as far as how much extra damage you're doing with it.
So it's definitely a nerf because all you had to do before was just keep shooting people.
Yeah, you had to keep shooting the same person over and over. Although at least with this, if you want to change targets or you need to switch targets within a fight, it can be good. And 7% movement speed, obviously pretty nice. I think better than the 20% crit chance, honestly, combined with the extra stats on this. This to me is fine. Again, I kind of ask who is this for exactly, but...
don't even ask, man. Don't ask. I don't know.
I hear that a lot, Chrissy.
They've taken this game into so many silly directions when it comes to items. It's like, why... It's like, don't even think about it anymore. It just makes your brain...
Yeah, I look at this and I can't read what the philosophy is behind it, but it's okay with me. I think that, having the champs like Vayne, and Kai'Sa that really want to use Kraken are going to like the 7% movement speed, probably more than the crit chance, so I like it on that level. It's fine.
Alright, next up... Or something interesting. Let's go to Lord Dominic's regards. We got 5 more AD, more magic pen, more attack, crits, or more critical strike chance.
Yep.
But now it no longer gives you bonus damage against people who have more health than you. Well, that seems positively silly.
Yeah, it's just like a stat stick now, and its stat stick line is not even that good. Although obviously it's got the 40% armor pen. I don't know.
Pretty dumb.
Do you want armor pen? Do you want stats? I guess buy this?
Seems pretty dumb considering all the other pen items have some kind of effect on them.
Yep. Well, how many people have been using Crypt Bloom recently?
That thing's retarded.
Yeah. Sometimes the stat stick is the way to go, and that's all I gotta say about that. This is... I thought that you would like stuff like this, right? This is like returning to like the old, everything is just like a big pile of stats. Season 2, pay a lot of gold, get a lot of stats for it. Like, I thought you would like this kind of stuff.
Give me some credit. I think this thing fulfilled kind of an important niche by combining this with like cut down. It gave 80 carries a much easier time of like getting through like fast slobs, especially if you're an 80 carry that isn't particularly good against tanks.
I always thought that Kraken Slayer should have been the item for that, and I always found it weird that they had just a fixed amount of true damage rather than being percent health true damage.
You want... That thing was already stupid,
and
you
stop bitching about Vayne.
You want it to be as stupid as Vayne's, W? Get the hell out. That's the dumbest take I've ever heard in my life.
Well, I always thought that should have been the item rather than Lord Dominic's.
That's just insane.
I think that the type of champion... Vayne, Kog'Maw, whatever, that want to take on these ultra tanks, that is the type of champion you should be limiting the cut down effect to. Is how I felt about it.
You felt wrong, man. That's crazy.
When you take a champ like that, you are opting into going after big, fat slobs and tanks.
And just for that,
when you're taking someone like a Jhin or a Kai'Sa. Or a Draven, you're opting into taking down squishies. That's how I felt about it.
Just for that dim take, you have to explain what's different about the Luden's Companion.
Well, you told me to come into this and not read the notes. All right, I'll do my best. You bully. Okay, so the way that Luden's Companion used to work is you would gain charges, and then you would hit enemies to do damage. And the way that it works now is... Gain 6 shot charge stacks to fire, 12-second cooldown. Fire.
I think it went from being a passive to an active effect.
Fire primary base damage increased. What was fire before?
Fire was the name of the passive effect. Now I think it's the name of the active effect.
My God, this is like 20 lines long. Okay, so I'm gonna say they basically did nothing here.
That's probably true. Alright, let's continue.
Yeah, sorry, I'm at a loss.
Alright, next we got Scimitar, which also lost its critical strike chance, but now it's the new lifesteal kit on the block, so at least we got something to make up for a shield bow, even though this is kind of an incredibly niche item that you don't even upgrade a lot of the time.
Yeah, so you buy this basically because it's a QSS. You don't buy this for long fights. You don't buy this for any kind of specific or any type of like general stat. And so they're giving it lifesteal. I don't have a strong opinion about this. Again, I'm like, why? What do you think?
I think my favorite change in the whole patch is coming up.
No more Moby boots?
No. Okay, what did you ask me?
Well, what I asked you was how you feel about this getting lifesteal.
Well, it used to have lifesteal about 3, 4, 5 years ago, so I don't think I mind it too much. I just feel like it kind of goes to waste on an item that you usually just sit on the sash all game, you know?
Yeah. This is an item that you buy for the QSS effect, and you know you buy it because you have something to upgrade the QSS to, and you have a lot of gold.
I feel if they up the AD from like 40 to 60, then we could talk. I don't think it's worth it, the price. Yeah, I don't think it's worth 3,300.
Well, again, this is something that you buy because you need the sash effect and you have gold sitting around.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth the money that it is.
It's not, but if you have 4,000 golds and you have 6 items and you have a QSS sitting in your inventory, it's worth it. Okay. To upgrade it.
Powerful argument.
That's what the sim is. That's what the Scimitar is, right? It's saying, you know, if you need a QSS, buy it. But if you're an ADC, we want to make sure you have something to upgrade it to, even though it's not that good.
Okay, next up. Mobility boots have had their time in the sun, and they are out of the game, and they are going to be replaced by a set of tier 3 boots later down the line.
Yeah, just as a spoiler, I do like this change, and we'll talk about it, I guess, more when we get to Symbiotic, unless you want to eulogize the Moby boots.
I don't remember how I feel, but I'll tell you how I feel when we get to what they build into, because I remember having some kind of idea about this.
Okay.
Alright, now here comes my favorite change. They took Navori Quick Blade out of the game, but thankfully they replaced it with Navori Flicker Blade, and then gave it an identical set of stats and passive effect, but it needed a new name. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. This needed a new name, and all the same stuff that the old one had.
No, they changed the stat line a lot, actually.
Whatever.
You can hover over the Quick Blades at 65 AD, 15 ability haste, and 20% crit. So they completely changed the stat line. It's got attack speed now instead of AD, and it's got movement speed instead of ability haste.
Alright. They still didn't need to give it a new name, though.
I mean, the old name was kind of dumb.
This is less dumb?
The new name is a little bit dumb, too, but it's not as dumb as the old name. And, yeah, you know, like, if this is an item that you were buying, or even that you didn't buy, it's worth really thinking about whether it's going to work with your champs. For me, I don't know. An item that gives you no AD, I think is going to have a hard time fitting into most ADC's kits.
Yeah, building those Zeal items that don't have any AD just feels awkward.
Yeah, and especially for an item that you would have normally wanted to build early on. So you could, like the Zayas of the world, for example, that wanted to lower their abilities by cooldowns by a lot. The fact that this no longer gives ability haste and can't be built as an early item because it has no AD. That's rough. I don't know where this is going to fit into Champs kits, but with the extreme change in the stat line, just take a thought about all the different ADCs that you play, and think about whether the attack speed and movement speed, in combination with the remaining Transcendence ability, where every time you use a basic attack, you reduce your abilities cooldowns, is going to be useful for you without any AD.
Poo-poo caca. Okay, let's go down to something a little more interesting. Oh, now that I'm not being sarcastic, this was actually my favorite addition to the game. Let's talk about this Overlord's Bloodmail, which
that's a cool name.
Which fulfilled the very, very important niche that Titanic Hydra is no longer fulfilling. Now that it no longer gives attack damage, but only physical damage on hit. Now we have the true successor to Atma's Impaler back in the game. And here it is in all of its beauty. It is a tank item, 100 health, 40 AD, and just like the old Titanic Hydra, you get bonus health based on 2% of, or bonus attack damage, I mean, based on 2% of your health. And then if that wasn't cool enough, you also gain bonus attack damage based on your missing health, which is pretty cool too.
So basically it's a stat stick.
Already my favorite item in the whole patch.
I believe you.
In fact, if this patch was only this change, best patch ever.
Is the Retribution passive even like worth thinking about? You get all the way up to 10% if you're at 1% of your remaining health. Bonus attack, well, actually 30% of your remaining health. It looks like you only need 70% missing health to get the full 10%. But still, is like 10% bonus AD when you're at really low health significant at all?
True, it won't be a lot, but considering that
I understand that the bonus AD for health is big.
Yeah, it already has 40 flat, and you could probably easily get 90 or 100 with this effect, so this thing will really push it over the edge, probably to like 110, 120.
Then you can get another 7 or 8 AD if you're really low on health.
No, I think it'll be a little more than that.
I don't like when they add a bunch of passives that are all little specks of salt. I'd rather them add like one big passive to it. I consider this like the Europa Universalis 4 problem.
I take my salt.
Like anything you do just has like 36 different things that are like plus 0.2% power projection. I'm
glad you mentioned
I'd rather
power
just
projection.
Sorry for cutting you off. What?
Power projection is the only tacked on one, so you're correct in that.
Yeah, I don't know. Retribution feels tacked on, but Tyranny is really good.
I'm really glad this is in the game.
I probably will not be building this on anyone.
Well, that's because you don't play any champ that would buy this.
I don't play a lot of champs that use a lot of health and AD. That's.
Alright, next up, tell me about this new Phantom Dancer, which doesn't really look that new.
Alright, so the new Phantom Dancer, the big thing to look for here is it now has 12% movement speed. They got rid of the AD, and they buffed the attack speed by a lot. It's a little bit less expensive. Spectral Waltz, I don't think, is as good as the old version. Yeah, it doesn't give you bonus attack speed for each hit that you make, but you get 60% attack speed outright as the stat on the item. This to me is a buff. This to me is a really good item now. And don't laugh and don't sneeze at 12% movement speed. It's pretty insane, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I'm okay with this item having no AD. You build this as a second or third item with a couple of stat stick AD items. Really good.
This probably might be the only one I would buy that doesn't have AD. And it'll still fulfill that niche of being better than your boots, basically.
Well, yeah, there's the Zephyr later we'll talk about, but yeah, 12% movement speed in addition to the things you can already buy for kiting with as an ADC. Yeah, this is really good. I'd say it's probably a third item on most champions that want to build it, but a really good third item, and it's cheap.
Alright, the next interesting thing, we got the Ninja Tabbies, which are 100 gold cheaper, a little more armor, but
yes.
most crucially, they lost a third of their really important and unsung effect where it just reduces damage from auto attacks and on-hit effects, essentially, that apply on auto attacks. And this is kind of a really unsung tank item in the game, honest. I say that
Yeah, it does cost 100 gold less. It's sad to see it lose that effect, and like, I don't know, I kind of liked it better the old way, right? Like, if you're going against a lot of auto attackers, this is what you buy. That was an interesting decision to make.
Yep, it was a good item.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's sing the old praises, right? Like, if they got too high on like auto attack carries, there was something to counter that. It was an interesting push and pull of team compositions and items, and now we don't have as much of that anymore, and I'm sad about it.
Usually, you just always endorse whatever direction the game's going in.
That's what you say.
Alright, next up, we've got another Zeal item that no longer has damage, but now it has a bit more attack speed. And that's about it. Rapid fire cannon, folks.
This is kind of weird because I feel like not all, but most of the rapid fire cannon users are the ones that don't usually get into range to use a lot of auto attacks over a long period of time. It was usually like the Jins, the Caitlyn's, right, that want to just poke you once or twice with a really powerful shot from a long way away.
Yeah, there's only like 3 champions that even build this.
Yeah, and with 0 AD, how many are there going to be? 1? Tristana?
No, I feel like Senna is the only other one that really buys this.
Not Trist?
Not even Tristana. I mean, there's so many better things for her.
Yeah. This is, you know, with the attack speed increase and the critical strike chance increase, maybe it's better for Trist now, but yeah, like, this is a weird change to me. I understand they were trying to, because a couple of years ago, they made a really dumb move of putting together, basically just, basically melding all the stats and all the ADC items, and then an even dumber move recently of adding critical strike to everything. And I like that they're backing off of that and separating the AD items from the attack speed and crit items again. But, feels like they picked a few weird ones to take the AD off of, and this is the weirdest one to me.
Well, historically, this item had no AD for a lot longer than it did.
I don't care about I mean, I know that it's interesting, but I don't care going forward as far as historically. It's just that the problem with it is that it really is an item that works best with heavy AD users. Again, the Caitlyn's, the Jins of the world. Not the ones who want to like walk into range and auto attack you 11 times. So it's weird that they're taking away the AD stat and giving you on-hit type of stats, meaning the attack speed and the critical strike chance.
I agree. Just like I don't like health items that don't give resistances, I don't like items that don't give damage that have attack speed or crit, and that just feels dumb. It's like, why should you get a full build with 1 or 2 items that give attack speed and crit but no AD when you can just crit like a monster by having like 5 damage items, you know?
Well, if you're like if you're an all attack speed user, you know, Tristana, a Kog'Maw especially, you know, it's reasonable to have items that don't have AD. It just seems like a really weird choice for this rapid fire cannon effect, which makes your one poke really strong.
We'll save that for the lethal tempo discussion.
Yeah. So it seems like maybe philosophically we differ a little bit. You think that all of these attack speed items should come with at least some AD.
At least 20 or 30, yeah.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think that, but I definitely think that rapid fire cannon needed it in particular. Oh well, what are you gonna do?
Next up, we got Randuin's Omen. We got less health, way more armor, and then no longer gives the cutesy little reducing basic attack damage effect. And then the active effect that isn't even that great is getting a much longer cooldown, but the slow is more powerful. As long as they don't dare touch that critical strike reduction, I'm okay with it.
So better effect, but you can use it less often.
You figured it out, man.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, 75 armor is really nice. I think that's kind of the big story here. What do you think?
As long as they don't touch the critical strike damage reduction, it's
Uh-huh.
fine.
I'm surprised they didn't with some of the other stuff they did in these item changes.
I know, it's like nothing is safe from the buffoonery of Riot, man.
Oh my god, what is this rectum item? I've never seen this in the game before. This is new?
The Rectrix thing?
Yeah.
No, that's been in the game for several months.
Oh my god, I've never seen that item before. It builds into Yomu's and Kraken Slayer. Why would the same item build into Yomu's and Kraken Slayer? What am I looking at? Did I have a stroke? And like I just woke up? 6 months have passed and like I've never seen this. Alright, don't mind me.
Next up, we've got Ruins, which no longer does magic damage on hit, but now the bolts do more AD on hit to compensate for that.
Yeah, so it'll scale really well as you're building a lot of AD, and maybe it doesn't have as much of the same, like, silly on-hit synergies with, like, Yi and Cog and whatever, but might be more generalizably useful to other ADs. Did they do something, like, wacky with this last patch, where they allowed the melee users to use it or something?
No, they didn't go through with that. That's still on the PvE right now, allowing melee people to use it.
Okay. So what do you think of that in light of these changes? Do you think they're still trying to go through with it and come up with a better way to do it, or do you think that they killed that entirely?
Well, it's still in the PvE right now, so it's probably still thinking about it. Even if melee people could use it, I'm not sure how many people would really want to. I don't think it would have a very huge user base based on the no AD, no health, no resistances, and a stat line it gives.
I mean, I know everyone was saying Master Yi.
I don't even think Master Yi would want it, honestly.
Okay.
He would want too many, like, Ginsus and Borks and stuff like that.
Because he's very good at diving into a team where, like, a bunch of people are going to be. Same with Viego. I know that this isn't traditionally a Viego item, obviously, but, like, if he could use it and could get, like, these big AD ratios from them.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
Okay, that's fair.
Alright, next up,
there's an item called Rectrix.
We've got this new starter-ish item that gives Scout Slingshot. We've got built from a dagger, just gives 20 attack speed, and a unique unique passive where it just does 40 bonus magic damage and is reduced when you auto attack. In fact, kind of feels just like that. What the hell is that other thing?
The Kerchish card?
No, it's an AP item that basically does the same damn thing.
Oh, yeah, that's the alternator, I think.
Yes, the Hextech alternator.
Yeah.
This is just like that.
Who knows what an alternator is?
It is cool that this gets reduced by cooldown, though, so...
Thank you, Kyle.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm still just trying to square a reality where there's an item called the Rectrix. This is basically like your low grade fire cannon, without the range. I don't know.
Builds into all the poo poo.
This is probably a better build path than some of these items had before, where I'm guessing that they just like used a dagger and a bunch more golds. I'm always for smoother build paths. It makes the breaks between laners who are ahead and behind a little bit smoother.
Alright, let's move on to something actually interesting. I don't want to talk about those.
How many times are you going to say that?
Let's skip over to removing Stormrazor from the game. What do you think about that?
Looks like they just nerfed Shurelius. Jeez. Removing Stormrazor. I'm happy about it. What do you think?
I'm honestly surprised it was in the game for as long as it was. It always felt kind of like a awkward, tacked-on item that wasn't really impactful enough. It was never a mythic, and it never really just felt like it was... I guess impactful is all I got. It didn't really feel very impactful.
Yeah, I agree with this. There were definitely some champs like Caitlyn that liked using this at long range, that they could just keep whacking you, and I didn't like that. I thought that was mean. Yeah, I'm happy to see Storm Razor go. For the most part, a lot of champs weren't using it, a lot of players weren't using it, and I agree with you. It felt tacked on. Are we skipping over Static Shift? Because this is actually like a really big change.
I don't think it's that important.
I do. Can I make my case here?
I'm listening.
All right. So first of all, this is I like that they're getting rid of the energized effects, but this is basically making it so that as you kill minions, you can keep. The way I understand this, with a 3-second cooldown, triggering this over and over and over on the wave. This can make your wave clear really good, although there's a little bit less cheese in terms of just walking up and clearing the whole wave immediately. You have to actually be able to auto attack or use your abilities to kill the wave or get them low, and then use this. I think, and I'm not sure, that this will proc even if you don't use an auto attack to kill a minion or monster. And for the electroshock, it says scoring a takedown, so I don't even think you need to get the kill. So this actually becomes a really powerful team fight tool, and I think will probably come out as an overpowered item. This is 270 magic damage to everyone in the area every time that you score a takedown against an enemy champion. It looks like you don't even need to be the one to kill them.
Yeah,
if you just damage them and then your ally kills them, all of a sudden they explode into electricity.
Do you think it really hits enough people, though, to be worth it?
I mean, it's up to 186 targets.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see, I guess.
A lot of people, Chrissy.
A huge minion wave, I guess, would be kind of cool to see.
Yeah. 650 units. I mean, it's not huge, but it's not small either. That's like 2/3 of like a Xerath W, I think, in terms of like the range of the W. It can hit you 2/3 as far away as a Xerath W can. Just for the fact that one of your allies was taken down near you by somebody who wasn't even using the Static Shift, but was tagged by them some point in the fight. Yeah, I think this is pretty big. I think this is going to have to be nerfed, and I think if you're the type of user that can use this, who is, and this is not a bad stat line either, right? It's got the 50 AD on it. It's got attack speed. It doesn't have crit, but if you don't need the crit, and you just want a little bit better wave clear, that team fight utility is going to be huge, if I understand it correctly. So, yeah, I think this is an overpowered item.
Well, I'm glad it's not a Zeal item that has 0 attack damage, so that's nice, but at the same time, it doesn't have any critical strike, which is kind of a bummer. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like all these items that don't give crit now are going to be kind of like, low on the totem pole,
The types of champs I could see doing the best with attack damage and attack speed without critical strike are the ones that tend to have like good AD ratios on their abilities and some type of auto attack steroid. Those are like the best types of champs I could see doing it. Certainly the Trashua brothers, certainly Master Yi. I would think Tristana would do very well with this. Draven could probably use this quite well.
You definitely wouldn't want this on Yasuo. If it doesn't have crit, just feels
true. Yeah, they are. You're right. They are really good crit users. But you're right. Scratch those out. But Master Yi, Master Yi, Tristana. I could see Draven using this well. His wave clear is not that good. Obviously, he's not going to be able to catch as many axes, but mid-game, where the catching the axes means a lot less than being able to run the map. Mid-game, this could be really good for him. Master Yi is going to be a freaking beast with this, especially with the ability resets on takedown. Oh man, that's going to be fucking crazy. Yeah, this is a Yi item. This is a dirty Yi item.
I don't know if I'm as convinced it'll be as strong as you think.
And I still think there's a chance that maybe some of those, like, wacky, like, LeBlanc and Veigar type of mid laners that can't clear waves early might end up using this, clearing the waves really quickly. and just basically like getting all this extra team fight damage in as well.
Alright, let's desperately move on. Next up, we've got Sunfire Cape with less help, but now it gives ability haste, just like that other item you were complaining about we didn't cover.
Yeah, this is the exact same thing they did to Hallowed Radiance, and I don't know, like, I think most of the people who want to use this and just burn everything around them probably aren't using ability haste very well. They probably wanted the health more. I don't know if this is an intentional nerf, but it's a nerf.
Alright, next up, we've got the shoes that replaced Boots of Mobility. You buy these. Initially, they have shitty movement speed, but you get the Baron Rift Herald Recall, which I guess is kind of nice. But later in the game, if you march around the whole damn map 650,000 times, you can upgrade this to basically get the old effect of Boots of Mobility.
So I did the math on this. Most champs will move at about maybe 400 units per second on average. Meaning that you'd be needing this for 400 seconds or about 7 minutes to upgrade it to tier 3.
If I'm not mistaken, though, just recalling backwards counts towards this limit.
Yeah, but only by 500. It's capped to 500 at a time for blinks and dashes.
Yep.
So 500 is 1 second's worth of movement, 1.5 seconds maybe.
Feel like they could have just kept this as Boots and Mobility and just gave it another effect. But
I feel like I'm really looking forward to all the trolls that are just gonna run around in the base, being like, "Oh, see, I'm doing something. I'm upgrading my boots," because they don't want to play with the team.
Feel like you could be doing something while it's charging up.
Of course you can, but they want to troll.
Sweet.
Yeah, so basically, at the top level, once you've had this for about 7 minutes, it will give you 45 movement speed, which is equal to all the other boots, plus an additional 45 bonus movement speed out of combat. And I'll tell you what I really like about this change. What I really like about this change is that it no longer gives you really crappy movement speed while you're in combat. I think it used to be 25 with the Moby boots. That was a reason I pretty much never bought it. And what they're doing here is they're making it a lot harder to make those, like, clutch roams, not a lot harder, but just a lot less efficient to make those, roams, particularly from bot lane. Usually it's like a Genki support that's going to buy this, a Pyke, a Leona, whatever. They're going to make it take longer to make those random roams to mid at, like, level 5, 6, 7. But as a compensation, as a reward for that, once you've reached like that 15-20 minute mark and you've had the tier 2 boots for a while, now you're getting really nice movement speed out of combat, like you were with the Moby boots. But in combat, you can still do your thing with a standard plus 45 movement speed, like you would get from Lucidity boots or Sork shoes or Ninja Tabi. So for that reason, I actually really like this change, and I think this is good for game health overall. I think it makes the new Moby boots a more appealing buy across more champions as well. I give this an A+.
All right. Next thing of consequence that looks interesting, let's talk about this change to Unending Despair. This is actually one of my favorite items of the new stuff that's come out in the last couple of years.
Yep.
And I always did feel this feels kind of... This is like the perfect change I would give this to. Not mess with the numbers, but mess with how often it triggers. This is kind of just what it needs to make it a bit more relevant. And make it actually something akin to like Swain's Ultimate almost, but not that great.
First of all, let me just give 2 giant middle fingers to whoever buffed Collector. But as far as Unending Despair, I played in one game early on when this item came out, where there was a Zac on the enemy team, a full tank Zac, who built this, and even though my entire team was dominating his entire team, he won the game for them. He won several 1v4 fights just with this item. He procced it 3 or 4 times in those fights.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking demolished our team.
If you
For the
already
most
have
part, I haven't seen other champs go off like that, and
it's not always a good item, but if you're a champion
yeah,
that already has sustain and you manage to get Spirit Visage, it can be pretty strong.
yeah. Man, I feel like this is a strong item to start with. I will admit that I've seen a lot of times where people build this and can't proc it even once, or at best can proc it once in a
No,
fight.
I don't think it's a good item to rush.
Yeah, I would agree in general. At 5 seconds, I would like if the first one took 7 seconds, maybe, and then every subsequent one took 5. This is. I feel like being able to proc this at 5 seconds is a little too easy, but I could be wrong. You like this?
I love this. This is one of my
Yeah.
favorite items right now.
But you think you think it needed a buff?
Not in the health gained or the damage dealt or the stat line, just exactly this one area. How often
Okay.
it goes off. It just the effect is just it takes too long to get enough out of it in like the chaos of team fights where the team fights last like 1.4 seconds. You know.
Yeah. Who's your favorite champ to build this on?
I like building this on a lot of weird like champs. Like I've built this on Swain a bunch of times, or it's funny. I'd build this on. I build this on like just about any tank. I love building this on Mordekaiser. Feels really good on him. Building it on Swain is just hilarious.
Yeah, Swain with the way he's already taking health from everyone near him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a really cool item. I just like the design. It's one of my favorites.
Okay.
Try to say one positive thing about League in my old age, you know?
Yeah. It's nice to hear one positive thing from you about anything.
All
Besides
right.
your dogs. You love your dogs.
Yep. Let's go down to Warmogs, which got a nice, juicy boost of health. Lost some regen, but otherwise all of the regen effects were the health threshold and the movement speed are all still the same. It just got
so
a shitload more health.
Yeah, so 1,000 health is, first of all, that's just huge by itself, but also, they didn't increase the requirement on the bonus health, right? So you only need 300 health outside of this item, which is what it used to be when it was 800 health and you required 1,100. You only need 300 bonus health outside of this item to actually proc it. And therefore, it becomes feasible for Soraka again, now that she doesn't have Corrupting Potion. This is the only way you're getting health back.
Yep. I've always loved Warmogs. Since I was in high school, I've loved Warmogs.
And the fact that they took its base health regeneration down is completely irrelevant, because in health, what you need in fights, what you need is maximum health, and they're giving you a lot more. And outside of fights, it's restoring like hundreds of health per second by its passive. So you don't need the bonus health regen. That's just giving you like 5 or 6 extra health per second to the hundreds that it's already giving you. This is just a straight huge buff to Warmog's armor. Congratulations to its users.
Okay, next up we've got another new item. We've got the Yuntai Wild Arrows or something.
Great name, guys. Just call it Wild Arrows. Call it a day.
Alright, and this basically gives you a very suspicious form of like Darius's passive, which already is very strong. And this scales with your AD just like his passive. Basically, it has to critically strike. You know, the first time I read this, I don't think you had to critically strike to bleed the person with this.
There's nothing that I like less in this game than bleeds, though. This is bullshit.
35% AD over 2 seconds if you crit someone.
Yeah. So all it gives you on its stat line is a lot of AD and a fair amount of crit chance. So this is a Jhin item, right?
Anything that scales with AD is something that's on Jin's radar. So
AD and crit and rewards critical strikes? Yeah.
Yeah, if only if it gave attack speed, because that's what increases his multiplier the most. But this is definitely something Jhin might look at. Plus, if depending on how this is coded in the game, he could actually apply this with his 4th shot, even if he's not critting. Because his 4th shot is coded as like an automatic crit.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder how they, I wonder how they code that. So how much is the bleed? It's 9% of
35% over 2
your.
seconds.
This is not worded correctly, so I'm not sure. It says 9% AD bonus physical damage.
Well, if you
Maybe they
click,
meant 9% bonus AD physical damage?
click on it again, it gives you the formula that makes more sense.
Oh, and that's every half second for 4 ticks. So it's 36% of your bonus AD is what it looks like. This is very strong. I mean, the stat line is not super impressive, but that if you've already got some crit chance, this is strong. And of course, fucking Trashua brothers gonna be able to proc this on every single auto attack.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even think of that. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Fucking
They attack,
Trashua brothers, man.
dude, between their autos and their Qs. This would apply so much that it would be super cheesy.
Oh my god.
I didn't even think of that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is going to be giga fuck cheesy on them.
Just send me back to Wood Division.
Oh, man.
Where I can be happier.
I totally didn't realize that. Yeah, this is going to be unbelievably stupid on Yasuo. And almost as stupid on Yon.
Alright, at least I can stop banning the Fury, who also, gives that frickin' bleed all the time. And start banning Yasuo, who's gonna be giving that frickin' bleed all the time now.
Boy, that's gonna be super annoying.
Oh, why you do this, Rito?
Alright, next up we've got a bit of a tweak to Zeke's Convergence. We've got more health, less haste, less armor. We've got some MR now instead of just armor. And now it gives no mana. You're probably someone who's bought this item twice in the last 10 years. What do you think?
I built this on Leona a lot. Just looking at the stat lines. This honestly is not bad. This is leading into its tankiness, which if you're going to be having like a swirl of damage around yourself, you probably want to be in the middle of enemies, which means you want to be tanky. This isn't bad. I mean, as much as I'm going to miss the mana, and I will, this probably makes it more useful for the tanky, the aggressive tanky champions that want to use it. This isn't bad.
I liked it when the storm scaled with your health or something for those.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Alright, next up we've got the tier 3 boots that Berserker Greaves builds into. And let's see. This is pretty tasty. This one just gives you a bunch of extra movement speed for attacking people. So it's kind of like the old Fervor boot augment from about 6 years ago, which did the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty big, right? Yeah, they're taking out some of the runes, but this is giving you up to 15% bonus movement speed in combat.
Wow.
And that's, yeah, I mean, that's huge. That's huge in addition to the fact you could already have Phantom Dancer.
I was just about, if you had this in Phantom Dance, you'd just be ghosted permanently.
Yeah. And 45% attack speed is a really nice stat line, too. I think the regular Zerks give you 25, right?
Probably 30,
35. The regular Zerks give you 35. So it's not a big change to the stat line, but you're paying all this gold for the new passive, which can give you up to a 15% extra movement speed, which might be up to about 90 movement speed just for owning these tier 3 boots, essentially. This is really good for those late game carries who get fed in the mid game and then have gold left over at the end as they're carrying their team. This gives you a lot of reasons to want to just channel all your gold into your AD carry, because if they can get a good entrance into the fight, they're never going to be caught by anyone.
Yeah, the kite potential is ridiculous.
It really is. And I don't mind that. Like, that is the hyper carry role. I do kind of wish that they had some type of equivalent for mages, but of course mages always get the screw job on items.
This is going to make Vayne just insufferable.
You know what? I see Vayne like 1 in every 50 games. I want to see more Vayne. I'm okay with this.
Oh, jeez.
I want to... Look, I'm sure I will regret my words later, but I want to see more Vayne. I think she's a fun champ.
The only reason she isn't played even more is because no one has the discipline to get through her laning phase.
Also, because the fighters just murk her in 1 second. Yeah, I'm of two minds about this. One is that I think it's pretty cool to have like this late game luxury item for the hypercarries. Two is that I really wish that other types of champs, if they got really fed, could have something like this. But overall, I think it's pretty cool. What do you think?
I feel like other than 80 carries, there's a fair amount of like fighters or bruisers who would love this too. I mean, think of the chase potential on like Darius. I mean, I feel
Well,
like
yeah.
he'd love to trade in his like defensive boots for something that makes him basically unescapable.
Well, my theory is that this is going to be like what they wanted the Wardstone to be, right? This is once you already have 6 items, this is your upgrade when you have spare cash. I don't think you ever buy this before you have 6 items, ever.
Oh no,
On any champion, ever.
I feel like the trend would be yes, you get like your first like legendary item first,
Yeah.
and then you upgrade this because
But with that said, you're absolutely right. That someone like a Darius, you're right. There are a lot of top lane fighters that aren't hyper carries that will also be able to use this. This may even change the jungle meta with some of the junglers, the Nocturnes of the world, for example, that may be able to use this and therefore scale the late game a lot better than a lot of the tanks and mages who might be in the jungle. And all the stupid brands that they're trying to stick in the jungle.
or
You seen Silas? You seen Silas Jungle by any chance recently? Because they kept trying to make that a thing.
no, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I saw it before they were giving him all those buffs against jungle creeps.
I bet this would be stank nasty on Briar.
Oh yeah, Briar for sure, 100%.
So she's already like ridiculous.
She's already so hard to peel.
in the same way.
Yeah, 45% attack speed. Damn.
Olaf too. Probably good.
Oh yeah. No, there's a lot. That's what I'm saying. This is gonna change the jungle meta. I didn't necessarily think of Olaf right away, but absolutely. And Olaf is one of those champs that actually has the hardest time like catching up and sticking to you. He needs to keep hitting his undertoes or he can't stick.
I feel like Garen's.
Yeah, now he can.
You see Garen usually get Berserker Greaves a lot just for the extra 1.5 or 2 spins. And
This will be good for Garen, but he's still not going to be a viable jungle.
oh no, I just go top with them and build all
No,
damage.
top Garen will absolutely love this stuff.
Alright, enough of all these crappy ass items. Let's talk about some crappy ass runes. First up, no more Overheal. Now we have Absorb Life, but in the Precision Tree. That's right. In the Precision Tree, no more Overheal. And this gives you
Wasn't
just
Overheal already in precision?
What?
I think Overheal was a precision rune.
Yes, but it didn't give Sustain. Alright,
Okay.
this, unlike Taste of Blood, which has a static cooldown that scales with your rank, now this gives you health after killing everything. 2 to 17, it's nothing that great to write home about, but it doesn't mean it doesn't get weaker when you're ranged versus melee, which is something they usually always tack on. The only caveat which makes this kind of depressing is the same time they added this into the game, they also nerfed the flat amount on
Leaf footwork.
Fleet Footwork, so now the obvious tandem of having these at the same time is basically nullified, which makes it kind of depressing.
I'm just looking at the numbers. Yeah, I would say this is still probably using the two together is better for healing than Fleet Footwork alone was before.
Well, yeah.
Although you're using 2 runes to do it.
This
Yeah.
doesn't have a cooldown, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I find this one pretty unimpressive. It's lane sustain. I usually don't use stuff like that, but then again, I use stuff like Corrupting Potion, which is no longer there. So, quite honestly, I don't know what the intention was here, but I thought Overheal was niche and not necessarily a great rune to use anyway. Yeah, I'm neutral on this. How about you?
I definitely think it'll be used more than Overheal, so I'm there for that.
Yeah. This is fine. This is fine.
Alright, next up we've got Cash Back, which replaces the even more niche Futures Market from the Inspiration Tree. And what do we got? You automatically are refunded 6% of any legendary tier items total gold upon purchasing.
So when you buy a 3,000 gold item, you get 180 gold back. the total cost. So yeah, and you know they take that away if you like refund or sell the item. So no shenanigans with that. Basically, every time you accomplish like a full build item, you get 150 to 200 gold is the best way to explain this rune.
Well,
This is really run of the mill, and it's basically a more gold item. There's a lot of games that go to the point where you have too much gold overflowing from your pockets at the end of the game anyway.
here's what I know about futures market.
Huh?
The only people I would see take futures market are people that go top lane, playing something that's like a super hard carry like Fiora, because the faster you can get like a super quick like Ravenous Hydra or
Uh,
some other big ticket damage item on another similar type of Fiora like champion,
yeah.
really get you ahead of the curve. And so this is kind of, it's not going to help you get your first item better, but it's going to help
Yeah,
you
this is
move
almost the
along
opposite
your
of that.
better
This is
first.
only for your second item and on. It's going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I never used. I mean, I used futures market a few times to try it. I thought it was awful, and I never used it again.
I don't
Um,
think I've ever used it.
yeah, just even though you get that first item spike quickly, you're behind for the rest of the game on your timing. This is a better rune than futures market, but only because futures market was a really bad rune. Uh, with some of the new luxury items, right? Like the Zephyr and what was the other thing? The tier three. I guess the Zephyr is a tier three boot, like the other. No, wasn't there some type of other upgraded item besides the Zephyr that we went over?
Yeah,
Or
the
no?
shoes. The
No,
mobi-
in terms of like a luxury item that you spend a lot of gold on. Oh no, maybe we were just talking about the scimitar. All right. Well, if you're the type of champ that's gonna spend the money on the scimitar and the Zephyr, maybe this can be good for you. In general, I would probably try to find a better inspiration rune. I forget what slot this is in. Okay, this is in slot one. Do you know what else is in slot one?
uh, no, inspiration is like kind of the tree that you don't really take a
It's
lot.
got some wacky stuff, yeah. I feel like there's something else good in slot one. It might be like a cooldown reduction type of thing, maybe?
I think the biscuits are in the second slot. So
Yeah, I think slot one had something else that was good, though. I don't think I'm going to use cashback that much, but again, if you're the type of champ that's going to be building to those luxury items at the end of the game, might be worthwhile.
okay, next up we've got a truly buffoonery adjacent chains to cut down, completely undermining the whole purpose of this. Now you only do damage to tanks who are above 60% of this maximum health, and if that wasn't enough to add insult to injury, now basically the most potential you can get out of this has been cut in half as it no longer scales with the tank's health that you're fighting.
Yeah, so this is basically the obverse to the inverse of the coin that coup de grace is, right? Coup de grace deal 8% increased damage to champions below 40% max health, I think. Um, yeah, this is buffoonery. I think the old effect offered a much more interesting and incomparable decision to make versus coup de grace and Last Stand, and now this is just basically a mirror image of coup de grace. I can't think of too many champions that would rather have this than coup. Generally, you want to deal more damage when they're low on health. And even the champs that already deal like percent current health damage, they're just going to get out of that range quicker with this, and then not be able to do as much later on.
Yeah, and you
So
used to
yeah,
be
this
able to
is.
stack this with Lord Dominic's, which had the same effect essentially. What a sad fucking patch this is.
Yeah, I don't like this particular change. You know, whereas the last two runes we talked about were getting rid of like really bad or underused runes and replacing them with something meh. Here they got rid of a pretty cool rune and replaced it with something that's really meh.
100%.
Unfortunate.
I would blind take cut down in ARAMs and feel good when it paid off.
We're of the same mind here. This is just a bad change. Let's hope they
Alright,
revert
next up, the rarely seen yet infinitely better than Kleptomancy. We've got
it.
First Strike.
They
We've
actually did a
got
good job with First Strike.
more bonus damage when the effect is procced, more base gold when the effect is procced, and unfortunately, you have less percent chance of the total thing that hits of the gold
Not
that you
percent
get
chance,
back.
but less percentage of your damage.
That's what I meant,
Goes to gold reward.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. So yeah, overall this is going to be less gold at most points in the game. Early on, it will be more gold at the very beginning of the game when you're trying to just like poke. In addition, for like very pokey champs who might be able to proc this easily but not get a lot of damage off, I'm talking Jannas and Karmas and things like that. You don't usually see them taking First Strike, but they can. And this will be somewhat better for them. And don't sleep on the extra bonus damage that this rune offers. I know it was 9 or 10% when it came out. I think it was 10. But even 8% for a couple seconds after you get your first hit off is really nice.
Okay,
That's just bonus damage. That is pretty good.
Next
I know
up,
all I'm saying is what it is what it is, but it's good.
Next up, we've got a nerf to Fleet Footwork. That's coincidentally just in line with the buff that, what the hell is it called? Absorb Life also added. But to make up for that nerf, we've got a whopping 1/4 of a second extra duration on the movement speed. I feel like this thing has already been nerfed so many times, especially for range champion, that it's just like kind of wholly unsatisfying.
This is a nerf, but imagine that you can combine this and its 1.25 second bonus movement speed duration with Zephyr and with Phantom Dancer, and you're zooming around.
You're right. We talked about the Doom build. Now this is the movement speed build.
Speed upon speed Doom build,
the speed build.
Speed build, speed build.
Alright, next up we've got an interesting change here to Font of Life.
Is it though?
Instead of actually scaling with your maximum health, now it just has a flat effect whether you're melee or ranged, and a 20-second cooldown.
Yeah, what I really like about this is that you no longer need to mark a champion and then have your allies proc it. It's just you and one ally that's nearby. No mess, no fuss. The problem is 20-second cooldown is very long, and I think makes this a nerf overall in its usability. I'm just trying to think for a second. Let's say you have a champion with like 2,500 maximum health.
It certainly isn't as good.
They were getting a 30 heal before. The other nice thing about this is that it's not over time, so you can actually make a slight clutch heal on an ally by using this.
You're dreaming.
The amount is not good enough for the cooldown. I probably will not use this that often. If they raise the amount or they lower the cooldown, this could actually be a good rune. It's definitely easier to use than it was before. I don't mind that part.
I like the old one just because it had health scaling, and that speaks to me.
I hated the health scaling because this was something that I like to use on a lot of champions that were not fat slobs. This is something I love to use on Lulu. Love to use on Janna. Love to use on Seraphine.
Alright, next up in the domination tree for Hail of Blades, ranged champions no longer get as much from this as melee champions.
Alright, let me say one more thing on Font of Life. This could actually be a good way for Soraka now that she can heal herself with it. This could actually be a, it's not a lot, but, every 20 seconds she can, hit someone with her Q. She gets the rejuvenation, and she gets this extra little bonus for herself as well.
Damn, you're right. Well, that'll make them make up for taking coin out of the game, surely.
Yeah, and Corrupting Potion.
Alright, Hail of Blades nerf for ranged champion, and then another one,
that's
no
brutal.
more Ingenious Hunter, so that gave you a cooldown reduction on your active item effects, which, while really niche, I liked that it was in the game just for kind of giving you the option.
I didn't mind having the option there, but on 99% of champs, it was better to have the Ultimate Hunter.
True that.
Yeah.
Alright, next up, we've got another silly rune in the Inspiration Tree, the Jack of all trades, where you just build a bunch of silly stats and you get some more stats. And that's it.
Oh, so this is different than the triple rune. So earn 1 Jack stack. I do like the rhyme there. For each unique stat type gained from items. For each Jack stack, gain 1 ability haste. At 5, permanently gain 10 adaptive force. At 10, permanently gain an additional 15 adaptive force. I guess it'll be good for Triforce users, right? Who have like a lot of stats just from that.
Man, the old days, that item used to have like 8 stats. Now it
Yeah,
has probably like 3 or 4.
Dawncore I think also has a lot of stats now. So that might be a good place to use it. For a total of 25. It's weird that you're getting adaptive force from it, though. Again, like, a lot of the champions that want the items that have a lot of different types of stacks are not gonna need an extra 25 AD or AP as their rune. This is a weird one, and my prediction is that it will not last 2 seasons.
Probably. Seems like a piece of shit.
Now, when they say for each unique stat type, right? If you get an item that gives you AD and attack speed, and then you get another item that gets you AD and attack speed, and it says it stacks indefinitely, does that count as 2 or 4?
Probably just 2.
Just 2. So in order to get all like 10, you would need to not only get like all the core stats, but then you would need to get things like health and mana regen, lethality, and heal and shield power.
Just a bunch of silly shit.
Yeah. Yeah, my prediction is this is gone in less than 2 years. This will not see season 16 and a half.
Alright, next up we've got
that.
Legend Haste, which is replacing Legend Tenacity, which gave a bunch of CC resistance, which kind of felt universally useful. I'm surprised they took that out of the game. But now we've just got another thing where you kill stuff forever, build it up, and eventually at the end of the day, you end up with, what is this, 15 haste, and that's it?
Let's see. So you get up to 10 stacks. Yeah, that's 15 ability haste.
Oh boy. Yeah, with how much like ability haste is in like the game now, 15 suddenly doesn't feel very impactful.
Yeah, it doesn't, especially since you don't have it all game. You have to earn it. And not only do you have to earn it, but you have to earn it over time. I'm just trying to see how quickly. 25 minions would be 1 stack. Every kill is 1 stack. This doesn't take that long to stack up, but yeah, I think 15 ability haste is a little bit underwhelming. Oh, and this is basic ability haste only. This doesn't even affect your ultimate.
Oh, wow, that fucking figures.
Yeah, this is really underwhelming. I don't like this one.
If this was like 30, I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah, this is yeah, I mean, if it affected your ultimate, 15 wouldn't be that bad. It would just be, basic only. Yeah, like, you can probably do better in the legend tree with almost any champion in the game than this. I do sometimes go the yellow tree for presence of mind for Sona, and so I could see Sona really liking the ability haste on her already spammable abilities. I might use it for her. I can't see using it on anyone else that I can think of. Even like Riven or something could just do a lot better.
Enough of that crap. Let's talk about the big one that I'm sure a lot of people are frustrated with that aren't just me. We no longer have lethal tempo in the game, and I know a lot of items gained extra attack speed, but I really just don't think there's a substitute for the increase in DPS that this keystone gave you. Never mind the fact that they didn't give Precision another keystone to replace this.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you... Well, that they had to have replaced it with something. I think the new keystone is the... It's not Absorb Life. That's a regular rune.
There is one. There's only 3
Oh, does it already... wait a minute. Does it already have 3 keystones? Is that the thing? And that was the 4th?
Yeah, there was already 3.
There were 4. Okay. Yeah. So it looks like where there were 4 runes in the same line, they simplified it down to 3. But yeah, Lethal Tempo really had its place for a lot of the attack speed users, for a lot of people that just needed attack speed without getting it from items, because they had more important things to do on the items. I agree, that's a really important thing that was there for some champions, and that's going to throw off the champion balance in the next several patches going forward.
You're damn right. I mean, this is literally what you need to like have like 40 to 60% of your DPS in the late game when it comes to like chopping up tanks. I completely agree. This one change is going to usher in a bunch of stupid shit for the next like 3 months.
It's gonna throw off the champion balance for sure, and I agree with you completely. And I share in your dissatisfaction with that change. I really dislike that they got rid of tenacity personally. That was
That's dumb, but this is idiotic.
That was a rune that I really liked for being able to make my escape after I got CC'd. And they replaced it, like, insultingly with that basic ability, Haste Rune. So yeah, let me just register my my anger there. But Lethal Tempo, that's probably the biggest change in the runes. And yeah, I think we're going to be talking about a lot of Band-Aid balance changes in the next several patches, my friend.
Surprise, surprise. This is such a stupid, short-sighted change. Like, we lost Lethal Tempo, and then they nerf Fleet Footwork. Oh, and then they nerf press the attack down here too. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. This hell is stupid.
The yellow tree was a little bit OP, but some of the changes they made are head scratchers.
I can't believe they didn't immediately replace this with like a fourth thing, or just I don't even. This is so short-sighted. It's insane. Absolute stupidity. Alright, next up we've got Minion Dematerializer. That got removed. Boo-hoo. Oh, and then we got Predator. Another keystone that got removed. I don't think that's as bad, but I feel like a lot of junglers kind of need it.
Predator used to be really big, and I don't think it's really been used much in the game in the last year or two, right?
Maybe not, but it's always a good choice, an option for a jungler to take.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool tool for some of the gank-heavy assassin junglers. And I'm a little surprised they removed that one. I'm not surprised they removed Minion Dematerializer. That was always a dumb rune. Anybody who really wants to you know, get waves quicker can do it a lot better with stupid static shift. But yeah, a little bit sad to see Predator gone. Unfortunately, I think they had to nerf that so many times that it basically became irrelevant.
Yep. Next up, we've got Press the Attack. 20 less damage on the high end. But I guess the upside is that instead of just... let me read this again. Okay, instead of only getting the damage amp for a number of seconds, now once it's active, you get the damage amp until you leave combat with the person.
So they take 8% increased damage. So it's no longer limited to 6 seconds, which was longer than it was needed for most of the time anyway? Is that the only change?
I guess so.
Okay, so it's just a nerf. It's just a small nerf at the high end. This isn't a big nerf either. This is the same at level 1 and 10% less at level 18. Better than not existing, right?
True that. Alright, next up we've got Relentless Hunter, which now gives no movement speed straight up until you get some stacks.
And how much does it give you on each stack? It gives you
5 less than it used to.
Per stack. Yeah, 40 out of combat movement speed, especially compared to like the this like random boot upgrade that's already giving you 90. Yeah, not great. Just get Ultimate Hunter, I guess. Did they nerf Ultimate Hunter?
I don't think so. Next up,
No,
we've got
that was
Sudden
safe.
Impact.
Yeah.
Cooldown is going up from 4 seconds to 10. But now it's doing a chunk of just flat true damage instead of giving you extra lethality and magic pen. This one's probably a bit easier to make sense of.
Okay, so the cooldown's increased, but okay, yeah. Gives you more bonus true damage. Okay. So this is an instant effect instead of you have to proc it and then you have to deal damage over the next 2 seconds, which is something you'd want to do more of with First Strike anyway. This is a good change. This is a good change because this offers a little bit more of a change in style and will be generally useful to all champions who just want to do more damage, as long as they have Dash, Blink, or Stealth. Not all champions that are ones that sneak up on you want to proc it and then only get lethality on their next few attacks. Some need to essentially burst you right away. And so I think this is actually a good change.
Oh boy, next up we've got Time Warp Tonic.
I didn't even know that was still in the game.
Moved from the final row to the second row, and now when you drink the only consumable that you have left now, you heal for 40% of your total health.
Okay, so at least they brought back a little bit of the instant effect that you can use to get you out of a sticky situation, like if you're being ganked, for example. However, you know, how many people are going to be building, health potions, even into the mid game?
At least the biscuits were free.
Although, look at this. If I'm reading this right, this is stackable now, so you could just chug like 5 health potions in a row if they allow you to do that, and immediately get like 200 health back.
That doesn't seem like it'd stick around for long, if that was how it worked.
Because they took out this whole, like, if consumables are stacked, the instant restoration is only applied once the first one's duration ends. And they don't have, like, a significant cooldown on health potions, right? You can just, like, I'm pretty sure that you can just hit the button 3 times and it'll queue up 3 potions for you.
Whatever.
I think they might actually, with this, allow you to basically restore, like, 200 health by jamming potions. Then again, do you really want to spend 200 gold just to deny the other team a possible 300 gold kill?
Bro, you win the 1v1, man. That's all that matters, right?
That's true, though. If you actually win that 1v1, that's 300 gold for you.
He's like,
I was thinking
hold
more
on.
for if you're being ganked and need to get under your turret.
Hold on, let me duck into this bush, and then you just tap your thing like 4 or 5 times, and oh, look at me, I got 3 more bars.
Oh my god, how did this man heal?
So that seems unlikely that could be how it's supposed to function.
I mean, they specifically took out that that line about if consumables are stacked, right?
Look at you thinking Riot ain't fucking short-sighted as shit, man.
Oh, hang on. No, I'm looking at the, I'm hovering over Time Warp Tonic now, and even though it says 40%, it still has that line on it. So I think it's just they wrote, League Wiki wrote the notes poorly. Because it's still saying here, if a health potion is consumed while one is already active, this will trigger on the activation of the next potion. Welp, could have been a good idea. Anyway, yeah, if there's no refillable potions left in the game, here's my suggestion. Never take this, ever. Never take this ever again.
Yeah.
All right, at least Jack of all trades will dominate something.
All right, next up, we're moving on to summoner spells, which are always interesting to talk about because they just never get changed very much.
Yeah,
but
I mean, these are like staples of the game that determine how the game is played. So it's always interesting to see them make like large-scale changes to these. What do they do, Chrissy?
First up, we've got Barrier, which lasts for another another half a second. This actually might make something a bit more interesting, combined with the fact that it's primarily only taken as an early game defensive tool, and the early game is specifically where the shielding got increased. And so this might actually see a serious increase in usage. Nothing will ever outshine heal because of like the permanence and the movement speed, but still,
it's important. Yeah, I don't know. I consider this an important summoner late as well. This can be the difference between getting insta-gibbed and surviving that first wave of attacks and fighting back. And yeah, it's being increased at all levels. It's 120 instead of 105 at level 1, and 480 instead of 411 at level 18. I would not sleep on the late game impact of that change either.
I hear what you're saying, but it's definitely like my lane's tough tool.
It's all the above.
Next up, we've got Cleanse, which is getting the treatment a lot of these got, where they all have a 30-second longer cooldown between Exhaust and Ghost. And then for Cleanse, the amount of tenacity you get briefly after you cleanse the initial effect is increasing by 10%.
That's kind of nice. I occasionally see people think they got hit by something and early trigger it.
Yeah, I hear you.
So this'll help those people, I guess. It'll also help you if you're getting chain CC'd. But 240-second cooldown, not nice. That does not rock.
Then next up we've got Exhaust, longer cooldown also, but now it is a more damning slow effect.
Yeah, that's and the 50% damage reduction hasn't changed, it looks like, or whatever. I think it's 50. It might be 30. Okay. Yeah, 35. I think Exhaust is a pretty good summoner spell, but honestly, like most of the time, I just see the ADC bring Ghost now, and the
they finally caught on to me.
The support will either go Teleport or Ignite. Sometimes I still see them build Exhaust. I still go Exhaust on certain champs. Sometimes I'll even take the heal because the ADC brings Ghost.
Bro, my friend's been ragging on me for years about why I take Flash and Ghost on AD carry.
Well, for a long time that was very niche. Now every AD carry does it.
Makes so much sense. It just gives you more kiting potential. You know?
Yeah, a lot more than a heal gives you, for example.
The only thing that sucks is that now Ghost doesn't increase on takedown, which was a real bummer because boy was that good.
Yeah, but Ghost is still like really, 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 really popular and good right now, and so I'm happy to see it get some nerfs here. 10-second duration instead of 15, no reset, right?
That is such a bummer.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. This is fine.
Man, it's been like roughly the same for so long though, you know?
I'm okay with this.
Alright, and then next up we've got Heal, where now you can clip someone from slightly further away than you otherwise would have been.
Yeah, this isn't a significant change.
Okie dokie. Well,
yeah, so I think the biggest changes here, nerf to Ghost, and buff to Barrier.
Yeah.
If you were to like make like one big change, either remove or add a summoner spell to the game, what would you do?
I have to add something completely new or remove something altogether?
Or remove an existing one, yeah.
I guess I'd remove Teleport. Because it just makes the game more convoluted and frustrating.
Make it punishing to get back to lane after you get killed?
Yeah.
Alright. That's an interesting change. I would love to see something where you're like almost like a mini Tarot, where like you proc it, and then like 1.5 seconds later, you have like a really, really short window of invulnerability. So that if the opponent doesn't time it right, you can actually no-sell an ability.
I feel like that would step on Barrier's toes.
Well, Barrier is just about preventing damage for a few seconds. This would be something you'd have to time in advance. It would be like a predictive no-sell, so it would have a very different purpose.
Yeah, a summoner spell that could like negate Vigor's ultimate, that would be kind of silly.
You would have to time that perfectly, though. You would have to walk through,
I don't think it would be that hard to time.
And to be fair, right? Like cleanse can also negate Veigar's. Oh, you said ultimate. No,
Yeah.
it couldn't negate Veigar's ultimate. He'd be able to get that off before it went off. Like you'd have to basically predict when he was going to use his ultimate. And I think if you can do that, you probably deserve to no sell it. Cause like Windwall can fucking no sell it. Nocturne can no sell it. You know what I mean? Like this would require 1.5 seconds of forethought on when they're going to use their big ability.
Alright, enough about summoners. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the ever-changing jungle.
Okay, so this is basically what I was saying before. They're giving most of the jungle camps more experience,
Oh, thank
so
God.
that in the mid game the junglers don't fall behind the level curve.
Oh, man. Well, it looks like that is it for 14.10, and it only took 2.5 hours.
Oh man,
I feel like a
the
zombie.
amount of hours that I give you on these, Chrissy. I'm gonna send a bill.
Well, if I ever make money, I promise I will give you a cut.
I appreciate that. Please like and comment so I can get some money.
Yeah. I already have this ridiculous thing I'm going to do for my 100 subscriber special that I've had in place for several months.
Looking forward to that. But yeah, overall, I think I'm not negative on this patch as much as you are. I think some of the ADC item changes in particular are head scratchers. But there's some interesting new stuff. I like the new boots. And I have to say, I'm not nearly as down on Corki as you are.
You know, I probably should be yelling, bitching, complaining, moaning a lot, but on a certain level,
You're just too tired to do it.
no, well that a little bit, but on a level, I've just become kind of numb to the stupidity and the flux and the chaos that they constantly want to inject in the game to desperately prop up the corpse of the pro scene by like changing everything every 5 seconds. So I've just as like the common man, I've become completely numb to all the stupid changes. You know, I just don't play as much as I used to. Also,
Maybe you just got to embrace madness.
try to just enjoy. What was the cool item? It was like Overlord's blood armor.
Overlord Blood Mail, I believe.
Whatever. I'm gonna get my pound of flesh out of that item. I can tell you that much. And that
What weighs
Dawn,
more, a pound of feathers or a pound of flesh?
that new Dawn card, that might have Shen implications with that extra heal and shield power.
Look, I don't think that was a good one at all. I don't think anybody's going to be able to use Don. Yeah, Shen and his 60 AP. That's a great match. That's a match made in heaven.
No, man, dude, like 20% heal and shield power on his ultimate. That's absolutely ridiculous. Any buffs to his
60 AP.
ultimate are huge.
You're paying for 60 AP, dude.
No, the heal and shield power is insanely powerful on his ultimate.
I think Redemption also gives you close to that much.
Yeah, that's good too.
Oh my god, is it going to be a freaking Shen Dome build?
At every patch, man, I look for what's the latest in the Shen shenanigans, man.
Do not build Dawn Core, please.
Doesn't have health, so that makes it
Don't
kind
do
of
that to
unappealing.
yourself. Yeah.
But one has to wonder now that since they took Radiant Dawn out of the game.
It has 60 AP and it has bonus mana regen.
Yeah.
You're paying for a lot of things you don't need if you build that on Shen, dude.
Alright, enough of this crazy ass shit. That does it for 14.10.
Alright, looking forward to the band-aids on 1411.
That's for sure. That lethal tempo is just so stupid. I'm so mad.
That is one of the, yeah, the runes was just a disaster. Let's give it a chance. Maybe it won't be as bad as we think, but I think it will be as bad as we think.
I mean, it just makes every hyper carry like just a regular carry, and then every non-hyper carry like a bum. You know? All right, that's it.
Catch you soon.